you don't exist. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look at better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheap again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 14th part of What If Deku and Hero Academia joins Power Rangers. Smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Abandoned Shinto Temple Night. The Nekishu has seen and experienced many things in her long life after being labeled a stray devil, but nothing could have prepared her for what she just witnessed, as Kuroka was completely flabbergasted with an awestruck look on her face from learning the truth about Ren and Midoriya. These two human teenagers have told her everything about being from another world where humans are born with superpowers and were shown a video about the Power Rangers. It's completely amazed her to see so many different ranger teams fight against monsters in order to protect their world and the rest of the universe from evil. If Kuroka had to rank it on the list of the strangest things she had seen throughout her life, she would probably rank it at the top of the list, converting how mind-blowing and unbelievable it is for anyone to accept. Kuroka soon got over her surprise before speaking her mind. Okay, so the two of you came from another world where humans are born with a superpower, she asked with interest. Mostly everyone, remember I'm quirkless, Ren corrected, making her frown a bit. Oh right, sorry. Kuroka apologized as she remembered how bad discrimination for those with certain powers or no powers is threaded in their world. It reminded her how devils thread those with lower classes. Then you're also a part of a group of spandex. It's not spandex, Ren and Midoriya bluntly said to her in deadpan tones. Right, you're color-outfitted heroes and run around saving the world from evil monsters and aliens multiple times. Seems like a tough job and responsible, Kuroka said softly to them in an impressed tone. A group of heroes that fought to protect the world and not the entire universe from dangerous threats. If it wasn't for the video evidence they showed her, she'd have called them liars. Well, being a ranger isn't an easy job as you've already seen, but as long as we can make people smile with our actions then it's worth it, Midoriya said with a confident smile. You two are really weird. How much does this job pay you anyway? Kuroka asked them. Keeping people safe and sound from dangerous threats is our payment, Ren replied back. Wait, so you're doing all this stuff for free? Kuroka asked in confusion why they would go so far for a bunch of strangers. Why? Because not everyone can defend themselves from evil beings and organizations that want to take over the world or something much worse, Midoriya said with slight seriousness and confidence in his voice. We're Power Rangers, Kuroka. We don't care about recognition, rewards, or even expecting something in return. We just want to keep people safe so they can live their lives freely without fear, Ren said with their own seriousness. Kuroka was astonished by their words and blinked multiple times. She had seen a lot during her things, but this guy was just downright weird. But she can confirm one thing about Ren and Midoriya. She can see resolve within both of their eyes. Fufu, your selflessness is really something to admire. Kuroka couldn't help but giggle at them. So those monsters we fought, what were they anyway? The black creatures you saw are called Tyrannodrones, robotic cyborg technology combined with dinosaur DNA. And the pawn, conquistador-themed creatures are hengemans. They were originally used by the Knights of Rafkan until Void Knight stole the hengeman's Dino Fury key. The both of them are just foot soldiers used by ranger villains and only take commands from no one else, Midoriya explained to her. But for some strange reason they're back, which means one of our enemies is here in this world called the Shots. Ren said, think who is controlling those foot soldiers? Huh? So you two came from your world to stop whoever it is controlling those things and preventing them from destroying my world? Kuroka asked with curiosity. That's what it's looking like, or else the Morphin Grid never would have sent us here in the first place. So we can't leave this world until it's safe, Ren said back to her with confidence. This Morphin Grid interested the Nekishu when she heard about it, as it explained the mysterious power those two are giving off. But it seemed like Ren was giving off more grid energy than Midoriya. And here I thought you came to rescue little old me, Kuroka teased the two boys in a playful manner. Save you was just a happy coincidence, Ren said with an awkward smile, which made Kuroka pout a bit. You're so mean. Kuroka pouted with her cheeks slightly puffing in a fake hurt tone. But all things concerned, we were lucky enough to meet and save you, Kuroka, Midoriya said to her. Same here, Kuroka said, returning the smile. In any case, tomorrow we need to start searching for any clues about who's in charge of the Tyrannodrones and hengemans, Ren said, getting a nod from Midoriya. Yeah, we'll start first thing in the morning. Midoriya agreed with the idea as they now have a plan. Sounds like fun. I think I'll join you, Hiroka said, making both rangers look at the hero strangely. What with those looks? It's just that this is our problem and don't want to get other people involved in it, Midoriya said to her, uncomfortable. Don't get us wrong, Hiroka. We appreciate the help, but you should leave this matter to us since this is our fight. Plus you're still recovering from that cursed collar's effects, Ren said, getting a pouting expression directly from her. Would it be true I don't know much about the enemies you two fight? But I'm not going to let you both do this alone. This is also my fight now. I'm not some helpless damsel, you know. I still have some tricks of my own, and I'm rather feisty when I can get in close. Also, the two of you don't know the area that well like me and that much about the supernatural world. If you encounter another supernatural being, so having me as your guide would be the best option for you both. Hiroka made some very good points that the two boys couldn't deny. So what's it going to be? She asked them both while giving a victory's smirk on her lip. Ren and Midoriya said nothing as they stared at each other in silence. While they didn't like the idea of Hiroka getting involved in their fight, but the two boys knew she made some very good arguments. There was still a lot the Rangers didn't know about this world or how powerful the supernatural beings may be in anything about the public areas. Her magic would help ward off curious bystanders and ensure that the ordinary humans would be none the wiser. She made some very good points. It might be best for her to tag along with us until this is over, Ren, Midoriya said to his friend. Yeah, I guess you're right, Ren said before looking back at the Nekashu. Already you can help us track down our enemies, he said, causing Hiroka's cat ears to twitch for a moment before a sly smile came onto her face. Glad you'd see things my way, Naya, Hiroka said, doing a cat-like paw gesture. Whatever, Ren said, rolling his eyes at the female cat lady. In any case, let's get some shut-eye and start our search straight in the morning, he suggested to them. Sleep does sound good right now, Midoriya said, yawning a bit, even though it was still daytime back in their world. Hiroka giggled a bit before speaking. Right about that. She had a smile on her face. Ren then waved his left hand around a bit to summon 3 sleeping bags for them to sleep in with his magic, as he and Midoriya each grabbed one of them. We can use these to sleep on, Ren said as he handed Hiroka a sleeping bag until he heard what sounded like cloth being moved and then silence. Why don't I keep one of you warm? Hiroka said with a playful. Ren and Midoriya turned to face her, then just as quickly turned away, as their faces immediately went red just from that quick glance at Nekashu. Holy fuck, Ren yelled while snapping his head in the opposite direction. Why are you naked? Midoriya shouted with his face red as a cherry while looking away from her. I prefer to sleep in the nude. It's very comfortable. You both should try it, Hiroka said to them, standing there buck naked like a newborn baby. And no, TTT thanks, Midoriya said before running out of the room as quickly as his feet could carry him, to sleep in a different part of the temple. Pity, Hiroka said with a smirk before looking over at Ren. How about you, handsome? Want to make this kitty purr, Naya? Nope, I'm good too, Ren said, tossing a sleeping bag in her direction without looking at the naked woman. But the boy swore. Hiroka's jaw fell open behind his back. Let's just get some sleep. We got a busy day in the morning, so rest up while you can, he said, walking to another side of the room, away from Hiroka to make sure she was protected. Despite the rejection, Hiroka couldn't help but grow a smile on her face while staring at the human boy with great interest. The Nekashu had never been noted before by any man, and it made her want the ranger all the more. This is turning out to be an interesting day, Hiroka happily murmured to herself, as she didn't expect things to play out like this for her. The black-haired Nekashu then narrowed her eyes seductively. I honestly like a man who speaks the truth and is extremely powerful. I wouldn't mind having his children, she thought as she started to rub her belly. The ranger found a spot to sleep and unwrapped his sleeping bag and got into it. His head was facing a wall since Hiroka was literally sleeping with no clothing on. It didn't take too long before Ren fell asleep with his consciousness drifting away. Meanwhile, somewhere else not too far from the Rangers, a group of monsters were located somewhere deep in a cave, planning something rotten for the people in this world. One was a humanoid pterodactyl-like monster and the other was a cockatrice-based monster. Their names are the White Pterosaurus and Rustafa. Ha 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 ha. After so many years of being locked up, it feels good to be back in attack, Rustafa said, laughing out loud. And this world really is something. There are so many super-powered beings here, and the best part about this is that there are no Power Rangers. Indeed, my friend, it's good to be back. Now there's no one who will stand in our way from conquering this planet, White Pterosaurus said to his partner. But if we really want to complete our mission, then we need to steal the powers of the few inhabitants of this world for the United Alliance of Evil. These two monsters were sent on a mission by the United Alliance of Evil to travel to this universe and found something that could benefit their cause to take over the Hero Force Rangers world, and this one if necessary. And I know the perfect place to get that power. Not too far from here, I can feel multiple energy signatures from a human town, and two of them are pretty large from what I can feel. Rustafa explained as he could feel evil power in the distance. Then tomorrow, we'll storm into the city and take those powers for ourselves and destroy anyone who gets in our way. White Pterosaurus said as they both continued to laugh maniacally in the darkness. Abandoned Shinto temple morning. Bright and early in the morning, Ren woke to a ceiling wall as he felt an unknown weight against his chest. That wasn't so unusual though. He had woken up more than once with Eri sleeping on his chest or clinging to his body. Even in his half-awake state, he could recognize that there was something unusual about the sensation this time though. The weight on his chest was far heavier than Eri's, and he wasn't in his world right now, so why does he feel something on him? Blinking the exhaustion away, Ren moved his sleeping bag open and saw a head of raven black hair of Kuroka resting against his bare chest and felt warm breath against his skin every now and then. That wasn't the only unusual sensation he felt though. Make that two somethings pressed against him near his waist softly. It was only when he raised his head a little and looked past the head of hair that panic began to fill him. The milky white skin of an utterly naked back filled his vision. His gaze lingered on the best ass he had ever laid eyes upon. It took everything he had in him to look away from the magnificent sight. Even only barely able to see past Kuroka's head, he could clearly see that she still wasn't wearing a stitch of clothing. How did she get into my sleeping bag without waking me? Ren thought as panic began to creep within him, but he fought to keep it contained. Good morning, Ren, Kuroka said with an almost sing-song quality to it, and yet the boy could almost detect a sultry quality to it. Kuroka had barely lifted her head from his chest, but her chin rested against his sternum casually. But it wasn't her face that Ren's attention was on. Rather, it was her words or the truth of her words. Unbidden, he was pressing into the woman he rescued last night. His body had reacted to the fact that there was a naked woman pressed against him, and they were both now aware of the hardness under her abdomen. Mortification filled him for a moment before he realized that now wasn't the time to be thinking about such things. His main concern at present was a simple question. Why are you in my sleep bag and not your own? Ren spoke in a low tone, a hint of warning echoing in it. Also, why are you still naked? Are you not happy to see me or something? Kuroka asked, but of course, teasing at the same time. Besides, I feel more comfortable sleeping without clothes on. Shy about seeing my naked body, she teased with a sly grin. It's not like that and you know it, Ren bluntly said, almost screaming as this was too much even for him to deal with early in the morning. It's just that I'm a guy who's willing to show my respect to women instead of being a pervert. Seriously, he didn't want to be a pervert and ogle at her nude form. He didn't want to be like Minta for God's sake. The black cat Yaokai giggled at Ren's reaction before speaking again. I know we've just met and all yesterday, but do you want to do it? I mean, you're pretty much a young teenager, but you're funny, strong, and seem to have some pretty good genes, so how about it? This naughty kitten over here promises to be gentle, Kuroka states to him with a purr in her voice, before pushing herself onto the boy, deliberately giving him a good view of her cleavage all while looking at him with some rather sultry bedroom eyes. Ren could feel the weight of her impressive breasts on his chest while she was pushing her bosom against him, as he was fighting back his hormones to prevent him from doing the unthinkable. And before he knew it, Kuroka was face to face with him while staring into his eyes. Ren, you have really nice eyes, Kuroka said, a sly smile on her face as she purred. Balls, Ren thought as was inches away from his face before he gently pushed her back, then immediately turned his whole body into a small ball of light. Naya, Kuroka yelled out in surprise as she didn't expect him to do that with the ball of light moving out of the sleeping bag, right next to her side. Then suddenly, the ball of light reverted back into Ren, with him sitting on the floor with a little blush on his face from the physical moment he just had with her. This power belonged to Sam, the SPD, Omega Ranger. He has the ability to transform into a ball of light energy. Ren looked back at the Nekashu, with the sleeping bag covering up most of her naked body from the poor boy. He's just lucky Midoriya wasn't here to see this, or he might have a major meltdown. Never depicted you to be the shy type, Kuroka said with a glint of amusement danced in her amber eyes, as she licked her lips with an expression that unnerved him more than he would have expected. So, can we make some babies now? She asked in a hopeful tone. Kuroka, we only just met each other yesterday, and why are you obsessed with having children anyway? Ren asked curiously while also weirded out by how forward she was acting. As I told you yesterday, Nekashu is a special variant of Nekomata. We are said to be a high-level yokai species capable of mastering both yaojutsu and senjutsu. You can say we have a special talent for them. But our race is on the brink of extinction right now, as me and my little sister are the only few known to me. I'm trying to make babies so that we can grow back our previous numbers, Hiroka said sadly before looking back up. So I wonder what our children will be like with Ranger and Nekishu powers. She smirked at him, getting closer to Ren's face of all places. Hey, Ren exclaimed in thought, as he never expected to hear that. You do know my Ranger powers aren't genetic, right? Doesn't matter to me, because I still want to make kittens with you, Hiroka said with a smirk, as a faint blush appeared on her face as she slowly leaned towards Ren, and almost to his lips. But the teenage boy placed his hands in front of the black Nekishu's mouth to stop the attempt before gently pushing her away, which made her blink in confusion. Damn it, it's a good thing Yui, Jiru, and Momo aren't here to see this, or else they'll have my neck, Ren muttered under his breath, causing Hiroka's cat ears to twitch for a moment before a sly smile came onto her face. Yeah, sorry, I'm not really into sex without love, and I already have a couple of girlfriends I'm dating right now, he tells her, causing her to look at you with an inquisitive gaze. My oh my, I didn't know that you were so mature. You're not such an innocent boy after all if you already have girlfriends. But are you sure I can't join in on the fun too? Naya, Hiroka said before leading in to lick his cheek, which caused him to shiver and blush a bit. That all depends on them actually, and if they're willing to accept you. They all love me and I love them back too. They even said they're okay with me dating other girls, so long as you share with them, Ren said, making her face light up a bit with happiness over the thought of sharing him with other women. I wouldn't mind being in a relationship with you, but like I said, we just met and I want to get to know you better first before taking things a bit farther, he said to her with a slightly serious expression. I suppose I don't mind waiting a bit. That just makes things better, Hiroka responds with a lustful grin, before slowly raising up from the sleeping bag. Ren's focus broke as her naked breasts came into view, the motion causing them to bounce enough that he immediately looked away with his eyes closed. Exactly how gifted she was in that department wasn't clear. Don't get too lost in thought. Hiroka's teasing tone broke him from his thoughts. Please tell me you are wearing that kimono of yours, Ren asked before standing up with his eyes still closed. Of course I am, Naya, Hiroka answered before giggling lightly. The spiky-haired boy opened his eyes a bit, hoping she was not lying, and saw that Hiroka had gotten dressed and moved away from him. Well anyway, good morning Hiroka, Ren said to her with a grin on his face. Morning, Naya, Hiroka said back with a bright smile. Then before anything else was said, Midoriya walked into the room to greet the two of them. Hey, Ren and Hiroka. Morning, Midoriya said, yawning a bit while stretching out his arms. Morning to you too, Midoriya, Hiroka said to him. So, how do you feel, Hiroka? You still feeling tired from the caller's effects? Midoriya asked her in concern. A bit better now after a good night's rest. I'm still not back at full strength as I would like to be, but I'll manage like usual, Hiroka said to him with her usual smile. That's good to hear. We're heading to the nearest town to investigate where the Tyrannodrones and Henjamins came from, and you're going to be our guide. Ren said that they were going to need her to navigate this new world. Leave it me, Naya, Hiroka said playfully before the three made their way out of the temple and were now standing outside. If we're going into town, then we should try to steer clear of territories controlled by devils, Hiroka informed them. Devil's own land here on this earth? Midoriya asked in surprise. They've been doing it for a long time. Angels, devils, and fallen angels control certain places in the world. For example, Vatican City is basically angel territory and Kyoto's territory is run by the Yokai faction, Hiroka said with a nod. That made sense to the two rangers since the Vatican is a holy city after all and Kyoto is basically Yokai City. So, angels and fallen angels can't go into devil territory, Ren asked to get them a better understanding of the situation. Not exactly. There's a ceasefire right now amongst the three factions because of the Great War, and the town we're heading to is in devil territory, Hiroka said to them. And there's the bad news for them. They were near the devil's territory and didn't want to draw any unwanted attention to themselves while they were in this world. I see, Midoriya pondered before realizing something. Wait, I remember you had to run from those bounty hunter devils. Doesn't that mean they will detect you if you go into their territory? They won't be able to, Hiroka said as she had a confident grin. You see, I can use senjutsu to conceal my presence from other devils and other beings by changing my kai flow. Plus, as a Nekishu, I can make my ears and tails vanish, making myself look like a normal human. She informed them before her cat ears and tails vanished from their sight, making her look like an ordinary woman. Wow, nice trick, Midoriya commented, which made her giggle a bit. Then how were they able to detect you yesterday? Ren asked with a raised brow as this made her quiet before speaking up again. I was trying to check up on my sister again. Hiroka answered lowly. I had to use my other abilities to find her, in which those bounty hunters found out where I was, and that was where I eventually met you both. Hiroka, Ren muttered as her head lowered a bit. His expression changed as he let out a small smile. I'm sure she's fine, Hiroka. Family comes first after all. He placed my hand on her shoulder as her skin felt really smooth, soft even. If you want, we can check up on your little sister after we deal with our problem first, Midoriya added with his own opinion as he smiled too. Hiroka's expression beamed, no longer feeling guilty. Really? She asked, getting a nod from the two of them. She looked at the two humans as a smile graced her lips. Thank you, Ren and Midoriya. I guess being partners for a while won't be bad after all. She thanked them before she asked, since I am showing you around Kyo, how about I also act as a bodyguard? Bodyguard? Aren't we the ones who are supposed to be protecting you? Midoriya asked her. Yes, the devils do see me as an SS-class stray devil and they will keep going after me. But even though your morphers aren't sacred gears, they might be considered as ones for some supernatural beings. Not to mention the power you both are emitting. Hiroka pointed out that this confused the two rangers. Emitting? Midoriya asked in confusion before asking something else. You can sense our ranger powers. Of course, if I can feel it, then I'm positive that other supernatural beings can sense your powers too. Even when you both aren't morphed, you still emit the essence and power. Hiroka explained to them in a slightly serious manner. In your ranger forms, that is where we detect the sudden rise in your powers. I see. Ren muttered in discomfort from the thought. If they were able to sense their powers, then Ren and Midoriya have to be even more careful to not draw more attention themselves from the beings in this world. You think they might come after us? Midoriya asked in a slightly terrified tone. Oh, most differently, Hiroka said with a nod, making both boys go a little pale. Given how strong and unknown your powers are in this world, the three factions along with multiple others might become interested and may try to recruit you to their side or try stealing your powers for themselves, especially the devils, since they are greedy beings in nature. She warned seriously. You mean the reincarnation, peerage thing you told me about earlier? Ren asked curiously. Yeah, Hiroka replied with a bit of a frown. But you don't need to worry about that, since I'll use a bit of my power to hide your powers from other supernatural beings, she said, making them sigh in relief. Well, that's one problem solved, but still we shouldn't let our guard down if it's as bad as Hiroka said. Ren thought to himself a bit. Midoriya rubbed the back of my head upon hearing the information. I guess having power in this world puts a target on your back for supernatural beings, he commented, getting a nod from Hiroka. God, this universe is starting to give me a real headache, Ren said with an annoying sigh, as the two boys noticed Hiroka's eyes were screwed shut and wincing her head in pain. Hey Hiroka, you good over there? Midoriya asked the Nekashu in concern. I'm fine, Hiroka said with an annoyed look on her face, while still holding her head and reopening her eyes. But in the future, can you please avoid using the G word or anything else mentioning Judeo-Christian stuff around me? Devils tend to get a major headache when you say things like that around them, and it's kind of like feeling a sledgehammer to the head for us, she informed them with the pain fading away. Oh, sorry about that. Ren apologized to her. But that's a weird weakness to have, Midoriya said blankly while writing the information in his notebook. Let's just say that devils and anything else wholly related is like oil and water. They don't mix well with one another, Hiroka said to them. Well, regardless of what they want, there's no way in hell I'm joining one of those peerages and becoming someone's slave. Hell, that's basically throwing away your own freedom, Ren said, frowning with a serious look. I really don't feel like throwing away my humanity as well. Midoriya agrees with a nod. The two rangers were sure that there were some humans who genuinely wished to become devils, but the fact that the sacred gears would remain with them when they did so was a major flaw in the system. From what they heard, sacred gears are in some way this world's version of quirks, or something similar. If the devils really wished for peace, then why would they bolster their forces with firepower that doesn't belong to them? I'm happy to hear you both say that, because I wouldn't let do so to you both either, Hiroka said, grinning before she drew a magical symbol in the air. Anyway, I'll take us to Kyo in a neutral territory where the devils don't control. Are you sure? You still don't have all your strength back yet? Ren asked her, worried. Nehahaha. Don't worry, teleportation magic doesn't use up that much of my magic, Hiroka said before finishing drawing the symbol, as an enlarged version of the same purple symbol glowed under the three of them. Now shall we get going? She asked before surrounding all three of them in purple light as they transported away to Kyo. But unknown to them, far into the distance, Off Eyes was sitting on a tree branch watching all the events that had transpired. Off-Eyes was looking everywhere for the one who was responsible for that mysterious energy that shocked the entire supernatural world. After a long night of searching, she sensed two people with an almost infinite amount of power, and soon saw the two Power Rangers with a stray devil. So they're the ones, Off-Eyes said with a small trace of interest that came across her face. But who are they exactly? The infinite dragon disappeared out of sight to follow them, while continuing to observe the three from a distance. Kyo Town morning. It didn't take too long for the Rangers and Nekishu to reach the city of Kyo, thanks to Kuroka's magic, outside of the devil's territory, as they really didn't feel like dealing with them. Kuroka was guiding Ren and Midoriya around the town since they didn't know much about this town, and also using her senjutsu powers to mask their presence from other supernatural beings to blend in with the crowd of normal people, while also investigating for anything out of the ordinary. Hey, Kuroka, you said that the devils own this town, right? Midoriya asked as they were walking together in the city. That's right, Kyo has been owned for years now by two well-known devil families, the Gremory clan and Citri clan. Two of the Great Satan's little sisters are the ones in charge of running the town for any and all supernatural affairs. Kuroka explained to them. Gremory clan and Citri clan. Ren muttered under his breath, thinking about everything she told them. Now if we're going to keep searching for any leads, we have to do something first, Kuroka. Midoriya started before pointing at her kimono. Can you at least wear something more appropriate? He started with a blush. Why? I always wear this, Kuroka said while tilting her head in confusion. You might give people the wrong idea, especially to us men. Ren countered in a calm manner. Also, you're drawing way too much attention to us with how you're dressed, he said as he noticed some of the guys they were walking by ogled at her and even gave the two Rangers some death glares like they were jealous or something. We need to get you decent clothes if we're going to continue to investigate the city without drawing suspicious from others, Midoriya added as well. You're both no fun, Naya. Kuroka pouted a bit to them. Whatever, Ren said, rolling his eyes at her. Let's just get you some clothes, he sighed, not wanting to have a headache before the three continued to walk to the nearest clothing store. When they entered a clothing store, Midoriya and Ren had utter embarrassment since the boys were letting Kuroka choose her clothes. Decent clothes to wear so she wouldn't have to wear that revealing kimono all the time. The two heroes just sat on the bench, waiting for Kuroka to choose her clothes. At least the amount of money Kuroka surprisingly had on her was enough to purchase her new clothes. How you holding up, Midoriya? About this world, I mean, Ren asked his friend. Midoriya was quiet for a bit before speaking up. It's different something. I never imagined that angels, devils, or mythology creatures could exist in this world, he said with a weird expression on his face. Still thinking about everything in this universe. I know, right? This universe is pretty strange, even by Ranger standards, Ren commented, getting a nod from his friend. They still couldn't believe that this universe had angels, devils, fallen angels, and other supernatural beings who actually roam the land and own parts of the world. At least meeting someone like Kuroka who guided them around this town and told them how this world operates. Kuroka seems like a nice person too, even though she teases them and is a devil. So boys, how does this look? Kuroka's voice asked, interrupting the two Rangers' thoughts. Ren and Midoriya looked up and saw what Kuroka tried on. She was wearing a type of black, wool-styled tank top with a red, big neck collar that went over her shoulders, covering the straps with unattached sleeves that barely covered her hands. Her dark blue pants hugged her legs lovingly as she wore black-heeled boots. The two of them were left speechless upon her new look before having the sudden urge to slap themselves for staring at her. With steam coming from Midoriya's face and Ren having a small blush on his cheeks. I think you look even more amazing, Ren mutters out loud in a stunned expression. You look incredible, Midoriya admitted, slightly turning his head away with a blush slowly creeping up his face. It does look nice on me as well, Kuroka agreed, looking at herself in the mirror with a smirk. Seeing as how the Nekishu found her set of clothing to wear, they got up from the bench. Alright, since you found something you like, we can buy it and head out, Ren stated, returning back to his calm demeanor. Okay, Kuroka said with a smile before she went back to the changing room to go back to get her kimono. After that, they bought her new clothes that she wore before walking out of the store, with Kuroka's kimono in a bag she was carrying. At least Kuroka now has something casual to wear instead of something revealing all the time. When we walked out of the store, they continued their search for any leads about the Tyrannodrones and Hengemans, with Kuroka holding onto Ren's arms, while having a happy expression on her face. Kuroka, walking like this is completely uncomfortable and unnecessary. Plus people are sharing, Ren said as he could feel the jealous glares of every guy walking past them, and it didn't help that he could feel her breast against his arm. But I like it like this, Kuroka said with fake tears while enjoying this. Whatever, do what you wish then, Ren said sighing in defeat as there was no reason with this woman. I plan on to, Kuroka said playfully as she pulled herself closer to him. She really got attached to him, Midoriya thought while watching all of this with a blush on his cheeks. So do both have a plan on how to find your enemy? Kuroka asked the two heroes. Nope, Midoriya and Ren both said together, making the woman blink in confusion. Nope, don't you have a way of tracking them down? Kuroka asked another question. We wish we did, but unfortunately no, Ren said with a frustrated sigh. Usually, whenever one of our enemies attacks, we won't know until it's already happening. So we'll have to wait until they make the first move, or if we're lucky enough we might find them first, Midoriya said as he didn't like the idea of waiting for something bad to happen first before they could stop his enemies. It's not the most ideal plan we have, but there really isn't much we can do until we find something. I see. Well, that's a bit disappointing, Kuroka said with a frown at how complicated this was becoming. And I don't think I'll be any help for tracking down your enemies. It's fine, Kuroka, Ren said back to her. We'll just have tea. He was then cut off from by shouts of screaming and explosions in the distance. Turning their heads in the direction of the shouting, the three noticed a number of civilians running past them in fear, as they were trying to get away from something. Run away. What are those things? I don't know, but we have to get out of here. They're monsters. Upon hearing the word monsters, Ren, Midoriya, and Kuroka quickly flipped the switches in their mind as the three turned their attention to the situation before them with serious expressions. You think it's them? Midoriya asked seriously. Maybe, Ren said back before he stopped a man running past him. Hey, what's happening? He asked the guy. I don't know. These weird monsters JJ just show you up out of the middle of nowhere and started attacking people downtown. The man shuddered in fear before running away again. There's no way a supernatural being would doing something like this, especially with this many humans around, Kuroka said, ignoring all the noises around her. Then it has to be one of our enemies behind this attack, Midoriya said to them. Let's get moving, Ren said in his leader tone before he, Midoriya, and Kuroka ran towards the location of the problem. High School DxD Universe, Kyoto Town morning. In one of the downtown streets of Kyoto, people were panicking and running in fear as an army of pteranodons and hengemans were tearing the city apart, attacking and destroying everything in their path. The grunts were being led by the white pterosaurus and Rustafa as they made their way to Kyoto Academy to find the power sources they detected and steal it for themselves. The pteranodons were chasing down townspeople and hengemans, soon being to fire energy blasts from their spears at the townspeople. The white pterosaurus used his lightning vision to fire a red, orange, and yellow-colored lightning beams from his eyes that makes contact with a few random objects in the area, causing multiple explosions to go off, making even more people terrified and screaming in terror as they fled. The police arrived on the scene not too long after to deal with the monsters, but were quickly overwhelmed as they didn't have the manpower or weapons to defeat the ranger villains. I just love it when humans run in fear, Rustafa said as he was enjoying every one moment of this while walking beside his fellow monster with the humans running around like chickens. Yes, but let's not forget the reason why we're here, Rustafa, White Pterosaurus said, looking up into the distance to see a school at the top of a hill. The energy source of that power is over there, he said, pointing in the direction of Kyoto Academy. Then let's get going already, Rustafa anxiety said, hopping up and down while flapping his wings. I'm itching for so new powers. The Sporix beast and dinosaur-themed monster continue their march to the academy, as their army was still destroying the city and attacking civilians. Unknown to them, nearby Ren, Midoriya, and Kuroka had just arrived on the scene and were hiding behind a car while watching everything transposing, as people were running away with some laying around on the street injured or unconscious. Basically, this whole situation was a complete shit show for the three of them. Damn, those are actually ranger villains, Ren said with narrow eyes while looking at all the destruction before him. What in the world are those creatures? Kuroka asked with her eyes slightly narrowed at the two main monsters leading this attack. The White Pterosaurus is a monster created from the White Dino Ranger's powers, and Rustafa is a Sporix beast, monsters that only care about causing destruction, Midoriya explained to her, as he knew these villains from Ranger history. They sound like troublesome opponents, Kuroka commented with a frown. No kidding, they're two of the nastiest monsters the Rangers had ever dealt with, Ren said back before saying something else. In any case, we have to do something before this gets even more out of hand. His gaze then turned those the Black Nekashu. Kuroka will handle taking care of these guys, while you focus on helping out the civilians. TCH, you know I can help fight, right? Kuroka asked with a putting upon expression, pouting at him. We know you can, but right now getting these people to safety comes first. We can't fight properly without worrying about protecting these people from the enemy, Midoriya said too with seriousness in his tone. That's where you came in, Kuroka. With your powers, you can easily get these people out of harm's way. Also, there are too many witnesses around for you to fight with us out in the open, Ren tells her earnestly, causing her to cross her arms under her rather prodigious bust before nodding her head. Fine, I'll take care of evacuating the humans in the area, but after that, I'm going to fight with you both, and there's nothing you two can say to stop me. Kuroka tells them firmly, not taking no for an answer. I wouldn't dream of it, Ren replied lightly with a smile. Kuroka then used her power to transform her into a black cat with hazel eyes, which surprised the two boys as they looked down at her. Kuroka, is that you? Midoriya asked in surprise. The said Nekishu smiled in her cat form before jumping on top of the car they were hiding behind. Haha, I'm using one of my illusions along with my senjutsu to disguise myself as a cat, Kuroka said to them with confidence. But I should still warn you both that the moment you morph into your ranger forms, the protection that I cast onto you two to hide your powers will vanish, and the devils will start sensing it again. She warned them both, along with every other supernatural being in the area. Ren commented with a grim tone. Okay, we got it. Kuroka nodded to them before leaping away to help get the people in the area to safety, leaving Ren and Midoriya alone together. Come on, Ren. Those people need our help, Midoriya said seriously as he was able to rush in there until his leader grabbed him by the shoulder to prevent him moving. Hold on for a second, Midoriya, Ren said, making Midoriya turn his attention those him. Remember, this world is definitely from our own. We can't morph in front of people like we usually do, he said, remaining his friend how dangerous it would be for someone to see them change, especially a supernatural being. Right, sorry, I was so focused on helping those people, I nearly forgot. Midoriya apologized as he was about to jump the gun. It's okay, I understand how you feel and I would have done the same thing myself, Ren said, smiling at his friend's heroic nature. Then his gaze turns to a back alley behind them. We can change over there, that way people won't see us, he said, pointing at the alley behind them. Got it, Midoriya said with a serious grin as he and his friend ran back into the alley, out of sight from prying eyes. With no one in sight, the two rangers bought out their morphers and changes them into the Dino Fury communicator on their left wrist. Then the two boys silently looked at each for a moment before nodding to one another as they begin their morphing sequence. It's morphin' time, Ren and Midoriya both shouted together as the two rangers moved their left arms in front of themselves, before quickly tapping their Dino Fury communicator. Then both of them did some arm motions to hold their left arms horizontally up and right arm behind their back, as Midoriya and Ren communicators glow brightly in a white light to materialize the Dino Fury morpher on Midoriya's left wrist and Mosa Blaster in Ren's left hand. Dino Fury key. Ren and Midoriya shouted together while pulling out their personal Dino Fury keys, then slightly shifted their bodies to the side to hold up the keys forward, before unfolding them to small knights and holding their left arms back behind them. The two rangers then shifted both their bodies to the opposite side to move their left arms to the right side while holding up their Dino Fury keys above their morphers. Activate, Ren and Midoriya yelled out before inserting their keys into the morphers, with Midoriya then holding up his arm left to the left side and Ren moving his left arm slightly up to his right side. Link to Morphin Grid. The two boys shouted while moving their right hand to their morphers, with Midoriya flipping the metal part of the Dino Fury morpher at a 360 degrees angle counterclockwise and Ren rotating the muzzle on the Mosa Blaster at a 180 degrees angle, causing their morphers to light up in their respective colors. The background changes to a black void area with it shining a blue lightly light, as Midoriya and Ren slammed both their right palms on the ground as cracks of energy form on the floor, before moving straight back up to strike their own poses while the cracks of energy swirl around their bodies that creates two see-through projections of a red Tyrannosaurus and gold Mosasaur roaring behind them, along with a cloud of grid energy appearing above them. Then they jumped high in the air straight into the grid energy that engulfed their bodies in their respective colors from neck to feet, before the energy on both the rangers' bodies changed to white, as Midoriya and Ren beings to fall back down on the ground. When they landed on the ground, both of the boys were on one knee with one of their hands on the floor, before quickly standing straight back up, causing the energy around their body to materialize both their ranger suits. Suddenly, Midoriya and Ren's helmets appear behind their heads and close shut on their heads, completing the transformation. Midoriya immediately grabbed his Chroma Fury saber attached on his left wrist, with his right hand to pull it out before leaping forward into the air, and swinging his saber, right after landing on the ground while the blade was glowing red. T-Rex Fury, Red Dino Fury Ranger, Midoriya shouted while smoothly swinging his sword around, before turning his body to the left to strike a pose with his weapon under his left wrist. Mosa Fury, Gold Dino Fury Ranger, Ren shouted while moving his Mosa blaster around in a circular motion before striking a pose. He is wearing a white and black colored neck that is connected to black outlined in white lightning bolt-like marking. He has a blue left arm, and a bit of his left chest is colored in blue with his boots being blue as well. The rest of his body is gold, and he has 4 rows of 2 silver bands on his arms and legs. His belt band is blue with a silver buckle and silver ornaments on the sides. His helmet resembles a mosasaur, as it is gold with blue, a knight-like visor that is gold and black and a pair of red eyes on top. Dino Fury Power. Ren and Midoriya both shouted together in sync, while striking their own unique poses with their weapons glowing in their respective colors. Now with the two of them suited up, both Red and Gold Rangers broke their poses and ran straight out into the street to kick some major bad guy butts. Back in the town, the townspeople continue to run away in fear as Rustafa, White Pterosaurus, Tyrannodrones, and Henjamens continue to attack everything in their sight. Run as fast as you can, humans, because no one will save you, Rustafa said maniacally, flying in the air while blasting everything in his sight with his beak blast, creating more explosions that cause more damage to the city with people running for their lives. The White Pterosaurus couldn't contain his laughter at the sight of these weak humans fleeing in fear. That's right, keep destroying everything in your way until there's nothing left. White Pterosaurus ordered his army to continue to cause chaos throughout the city. The Tyrannodrones and Henjamens spotted a woman and little boy trying to escape, then began chasing them down, as they were running away from the group of monsters until the little boy tripped on the ground from some break debris. Oh, the little boy cried out in pain as he scraped his left knee. Ken, the mother cried out as she immediately ran back to her fallen son and kneeled down towards him. Everything's okay. Mommy's here, she said, picking her little boy up in her arms. Oh, I assure you that everything will not be okay, Rustafa said before landing down a few feet away from the mother and son, which freaked the family of two out. Please just let us go, the mother pleaded for their lives, as she embraced her son tightly with the little boy scared out of his mind from being this close to the Sporix beast. No can do, lady. It's nothing personal, but you and the kid have to die. But if it makes you feel any better, we'll make it quick and painless, Rustafa said, making both of their hearts drop in dread from the Sporix beast not letting them go, with a group of Tyrannodrones and Henjamens standing behind him. Kill them, he ordered as the grunts moved forward at the mother and little boy to kill them. The mother and son both cried out in fear while looking away from the incoming monsters appearing them. Then out of nowhere, a blast of gunfire takes out all the Tyrannodrones and Henjamens near the family of two in an instant that greatly surprised the Sporix beast, with the mother and son looking back at Rustafa in shock and confusion to see all the grunts appearing them dead on the ground. What? Who did that? Rustafa demanded in an angry, but confused tone. Buikasha. A loud voice made Rustafa look up to see the Gold Dino Fury Ranger flying at him, with a front upside-down flip before kicking the Sporix beast in the chest a great distance away, as the Ranger lands behind the family of two. Sorry, I was aiming for your face, beak breathe, Ren said while holding up his Mosa blaster, as this made everyone stop in place to look at him in shock. What? A Power Ranger? White Pterosaurus yelled out in great surprise, as he didn't expect a Ranger to show up. One is here in this world. But that's impossible, Rustafa grumbled in pain while trying to get back up on his feet. Really now, cause it seems possible to me, Ren mocked back with the mother and son he just rescued were looking at him in awe because of his appearance. Also, my friend also wants to join in on the fun, he said with a grin that confused the monsters, until a loud shout was made that took everyone by surprise again. Sprint streak, another voice shouted as everyone in the area noticed a super fast red blur taking out a few of the Tyrannodrones and Henjamens, causing them to explode into nothingness. Then a red blur jumped high into the air, revealing to be the Red Dino Fury Ranger using the Sprint Dino Key's power before Midoriya stretched out his left hand down below, and a number of multiple black whips came out of his left hand. They quickly attaches themselves onto the hurt and unconscious civilians in the area who were unable to move. The Red Ranger used all of his strength to pull them up in the air like a fishing rod and out of danger from the monsters, before gently moving them over to a crowd of police officers who was near, as he lands down on top of a car with him dispelling the boost keys on his right arm. Another Ranger? You gotta be kidding me. Rustafa growls in rage upon seeing another one. Just how many of you are there in this world? He complained while regrouping with the White Pterosaurus and remaining grunts that weren't destroyed yet. Midoriya immediately turned to the police before saying something. These people need medical attitude and fast. Get them out of here into the nearest hospital. He ordered the officers, who looked at him in starstruck. That order from the young ranger was enough to break the police officers out of their shock and ran towards the hurt and unconscious people, before picking them up and taking the injured people to safety like Midoriya asked, with the other civilians running away from the area. Looks like my control of Black Whip is getting a little better, Midoriya thought to himself as he remembered he woke up early this morning and practiced his control over his new quirk. You alright? Ren asked while slightly looking back at the family, with the mother nodding slowly in response and the little boy silently staring at the ranger in awe. That's good to hear. Now get yourself and your son out of here to safely. We'll take care of this, he said, making the woman frantically nodding back before she and her son quickly left the scene. Leave the two rangers and monsters the only ones left in the area. Midoriya leaped towards his friend, as the two rangers were now staring down the white pterosaurus and Mustafa, who also did the same. Just when we were about to attend those powers, you meddling Power Rangers had to show up and ruin our fun. Mustafa grumbled to them in frustration. Just what are you doing here anyway? We're the ones who should be asking you that question. Ren said back aggressively to the two monsters. This isn't even a ranger world. That's right, White Pterosaurus, you were destroyed twice by the Dino Thunder Rangers years ago. And Mustafa, you and the rest of the Sporix beasts were sealed away by the Morphin Masters. So how is it that the two of you are even here in this world? Midoriya asked as he wanted to know how these old ranger villains come back to life. As if we'll tell you heroes anything. White Pterosaurus said, mocking them a bit before turning to the Sporix beast. Mustafa, you deal with the rangers. I have more urgent matters to attend to, he said to his partner before walking away. It'll be my pleasure, Mustafa said, delightful, as he couldn't wait to kill some rangers. Just where are you going? Ren demanded, making the dinosaur monster stop in his tracks as he turned on his way. To get something that will give me an edge over you rangers. But don't worry, I'll be back to destroy you soon enough, White Pterosaurus declared before calling for more reinforcements. Pteranodons, Henjamen. Then more Pteranodons and Henjamens appeared from thin air next to the White Pterosaurus and Mustafa, as the ones that didn't get destroyed gathered up with the other grunts. Now if you'll excuse me, I have an ultimate power source to attain, White Pterosaurus said before spreading out his wings and flying straight toward Kyo Academy. No, stop, Midoriya yelled out while he and Ren ran up a few feet in an attempt to stop the White Pterosaurus. But it was too late as the monster flew away into the distance. I don't think so, Rangers, Mustafa declared as he and his army of grunts stopped the two heroes from going any farther. Pteranodons, Henjamens, destroy them, he ordered as the grunts charged forward at the Rangers. Let's deal with these guys first, Midoriya, Ren said to his friend, while raising his weapon forward at the incoming enemies. Mosa Blast. He pulled the trigger on his Mosa Blaster, which started rapidly firing shots that take some of them out, leaving smoke coming off their bodies. Yeah, let's take out the trash, Midoriya agreed, getting into his own battle stance with his own weapon, before bravely rushing at the Pteranodons and Henjamens. A Henjamen swung its spear downwards at Midoriya, only for him to grab his opponent's weapon and rip it out of the grunt's hand by tossing the spear aside, then counter-slashes the Henjamen with a diagonal upward swing that takes the grunt out. The Red Dino Fury Ranger immediately avoids an attack from the left by stepping back a bit, and another from the right by stepping back again, then dodges for a third time while leaping away backward to perform a backhand stand with one hand and acrobatic movements to get some distance from him and his foes. Midoriya crouches his legs down a bit before blazingly leaping forward at the enemy to horizontally cut down 7 Pteranodons and Henjamens in a slip second before they even realized it themselves. Too fast for y'all, the Red Ranger quipped before spiral jumping to his next opponent. Then Midoriya grabs a Henjamen while using the momentum of the jump to maneuver around the Henjamen's body, and shortly runs across the side of a nearby car at the same time before throwing the enemy hard on the street. But the Ranger didn't have time to rest as a Pteranodon attacks him from the right with its scythe-like arm, only to be stopped by a swift counter-swing from Midoriya's Chroma Fury Saber and another one to strike down the grunt before running straight at a Henjamen, who had shielded out to stop the Ranger. The Red Ranger took advantage of this by leaping at the Henjamen and using his right foot to hop off the shield, and then another Pteranodon as Midoriya kicks the grunt in midair with his leg to stun its movements for a moment before slashing the Pteranodon twice on one knee. Then proceed with a swift right leg swoop to the Henjamen that had its shield up legs, making the grunt fall over on its back, and uses the momentum to stand straight up to notice more foes around him. So to reap up his power, Midoriya opens the mouthpiece on his Chroma Fury Saber after grabbing a Dino key from his belt side with his right hand. Boost key ready, Midoriya shouted while holding up the shield Dino key before unfolding it into a small knight, right before inserting it into the saber's mouthpiece and immediately shutting it for mouthpiece eyes to light up. Then the Red Ranger stepped over to the right to avoid a Pteranodon assault while holding onto the mouthpiece's lever, as he proceeded to open and close it multiple times with blue energy was traveling up his right arm. While this was happening, Midoriya was fighting off multiple grunts around him before barrel rolling away to a safe distance with his boost key effects powering up. Then after the little wait, the Red Ranger's armor materializes on his right arm and shoulder with the head of the Archelon for a right shoulder piece. Shield boost, Midoriya shouted out loud while moving his right arm and weapon down to his side for a cool knight-like pose. Soon the Pteranodons and Henjimens rushed at him with their weapons up in the air and stroked the boy, only for Midoriya to raise his shield armor in response to the attack on him. Shield block, Midoriya shouted as the moment the grunts' weapons touched the shield armor, a blue barrier appeared to stop their attacks dead in their tracks, which only confused the enemy. "You'll have to try harder than that, fellas," he said with a smirk behind his helmet, allowing for them to attack again as another blue barrier appears to stop them once more. This goes on a few more times with the Pteranodons and Henjimens trying to break the Rangers' defenses to no avail until Midoriya made his move by cross-slashing a few enemies down before stopping another spear with his shield armor. Then Midoriya spiral spins his blade to push the Henjimen slightly back and blocks a Pteranodon's attack from behind his back with his shield armor, before quickly cutting down both foes in an instant. "That was fun. I think I'll try another key," Midoriya said to himself before reopening the mouthpiece on his saber and removing the shield Dino key as the shield armor dispelled from his arm. Then he grabbed another boost key from his belt while holding it up. "Hover Dino key ready," the Ranger shouted as he unfolded the key into a small knight and inserts the boost key into the mouthpiece of his weapon, before closing and reopening it 3 times. The Red Ranger moved his Chroma Fury saber in front of himself, while Midoriya's left hand was on the mouthpiece lever as he opens and closes it a few more times to charge up the boost key's power, before the Ranger moved his arm out to the side with armor now materializing on his right arm and shoulder with the head of the Archaeopteryx for a right shoulder piece. "Hover boost," Midoriya shouted as more enemies headed towards him, as the Ranger only smiled in response with he pointing his saber at the group of grunts a few meters away from him. "Hover hold," he yelled out with his saber blade flashing red for a brief moment to release a burst of energy onto the group of Henjimens and Pteranodons, making them stop in their tracks for a moment. Then suddenly the Henjimens and Pteranodons started to slowly hover off the street and a few feet into the air, as they begin to slightly panic with them unable to move their floating bodies. "Now for target practice," Midoriya said before jumping at his floating helpless opponents, then quickly struck enough of grunts as he passed by them, making their lifeless bodies explode in mid-air before perfectly landing back on the street. "I bet Ochako would be jealous of this key's power," he said with the armor disappearing from his right arm. "Beak blast." A voice makes Midoriya look up to see multiple purple energy beams flying at him, as he barely avoids them by immediately moving out of the way with the street being destroyed by the small explosions. "Rustafa," Midoriya shouted as he raised his weapon and got into a defensive position, with the Sporix beast flying straight at him. "You're mine now, Red Ranger," Rustafa aggressively said while swiping down from the sky to slam his wing at the Hero Force Ranger. Midoriya blocked Sporix Beast's swing attack with his weapon while being slightly pushed back, before countering with a reverse swing at Rustafa, who moves out of the way in time, as the two began to clash with one another. Meanwhile, at the same time when his partner rushed on ahead at the group of enemies in front of them, Ren notices a couple of the Pteranodons and Henjimens circled behind the Ranger and being to attack him from behind. "Mosa Blade," the Gold Dino Fury Ranger said while pulling on his personal weapon in his right hand and blaster in the other hand before charging at the enemy. Ren started off by doing a short hop in the air to kick a Henjimen backward in its shield, then shoots a Pteranodon on his right side before spinning his body the right. He uses the momentum of the spin to slash a Henjimen in the chest as it was attacking with its spear, right after dodging another enemy assault by shifting his body over the left and back. Left jabs a Pteranodon sneaking up behind him with his elbow, making the monster fall over. The grunts surrounded him from all sides with Ren evading their attacks with medium effect, then shifts his head to the side to avoid a spear to the face before grabbing the Henjimen's spear with both his elbow joints and takes the weapon out of the monster's hands while quickly twirling himself around to knock back all the foes surrounding him with the Henjimen's stolen spear making sparks coming off their bodies. As Henjimen's and Pteranodons take a couple of steps back, giving the Ranger some breathing room. The Gold Ranger immediately dropped the spear before side rolling forward behind a henchman that was nearest to him, then swiftly cuts the grunt's right leg to send the monster down to the ground on all fours. With the other grunts regaining their senses, Ren didn't waste a second of hesitation as he body rolled on top of the henchman's back to the other side while avoiding a Tyrannodron assault at him, right before falling on one knee and aiming his Mosa blaster at said Tyrannodron. As he hides behind the henchman, he rolled over for cover fire. Not good enough, Ren said, quickly firing at shot of the Tyrannodron dead, then taking out the henchman underneath him with a right elbow jab before standing back up. The Gold Ranger fired 2 shots at his front and back, which was blocked by the henchman's shields, making the hero slightly annoyed as he quickly noticed 2 Tyrannodrons coming at him from both sides with their scythe-like arm raised for an attack. But Ren narrowly makes it out of the attack by barrel rolling forward on the street before regaining his footing while dashing away from the group of grunts. A few of the henchmen immediately threw their spears at the fleeing ranger's back, hoping to get a hit in on him, only for said ranger to quickly spin back in the air to deflect the flying spears with his Mosa blade, all while turning back on the ground to continue his dash. "Whoa!" Ren screamed out while moving to the left side of the street, as he avoids another wave of flying spears at him that impaled themselves in a car. Seeing this, the grunts chased after him, with Ren launching more gunfire at his pursuers from the left side, as he managed to eliminate a few of them. When they got close enough, Ren stopped his gunfire and grabs a henchman by its spear to toss the enemy out of his way, while side-spinning to the left before slashing a Tyrannodron on his right and another on his left, then following up with a hard right kick to a henchman's stomach that takes them out of the fight. The Gold Ranger then turns his attention back to the henchman tossed away, and ran straight towards the grunt for an attack. As the henchman raises its shield to stop the ranger's blade from hitting it, with Ren quickly moved to shift the shield out of the way and cuts the henchman down in its chest, while he turns back around to face more enemies coming at him. "Let's bump up the power," Ren said, raising his Mosa blade to pump the lever on the side of the weapon a few times, as the blade edge started to vibrate like a chainsaw while conducting a charge of electricity with the blade's power now amplified. The Gold Ranger then moved close to a henchman with his electricity Mosa blade in the air above his opponent, ready to strike the grunt down as the henchman raises its shield in a defensive position to block the attack. "Mosa slash," Ren shouted while bringing his electricity blade down at the grunt's shield, cutting between it in two like hot butter that breaks the henchman defenses. Henchman took a step back while holding and looking at his cut-in-half shield in confusion, before Ren calmly raised the Mosa blaster straight into the henchman's face, making the grunt stop in place and looking into the barrel of the weapon. "Say cheese," Ren quipped with a grin before delivering a headshot to the henchman's face, effectively taking out the grunt. "A little off the top right there. Sorry about that," he jokingly said before swiftly turning around behind his back to counter-slash an incoming Tyrannodron's assault, while also taking out the grunt in the process with his still electricity Mosa blade. Then he horizontally slashes another Tyrannodron on the left, right before stopping a henchman assault by back-kicking the grunt in the stomach that sends it flying into a group of enemies, knocking them all down together. Seeing this gave the Gold Ranger an interesting idea of how to finish off the remaining grunts. Ren raised the Mosa blaster to his right side to hit the butt of the gun with his free hand, which slightly removes the gold Dino Fury key from the weapon, as he pulls the key out and grabs another key from his belt side. "Electro Dino key, ready," Ren shouted while holding up the armor key before unfolding into a small knight, right before inserting it into the Mosa blaster, making the fins on the bottom part of the weapon pop up and combine. The Gold Ranger grabbed the muzzle on his weapon with his right hand, before pumping it 4 times to charge up power. Ren then switches the Mosa blaster to his right hand as he raises it in the air, before pulling the trigger with electricity generated from the tip of the weapon. The Ranger moved his right arm down to his side as more electricity was being produced, before the electrical energy traveled up his right arm, upper chest, and left arm to manifest a battle armor with the head of the Spinosaurus for a right shoulder piece. "Electro battle armor, ready," Ren shouted out to announce his armor, after seeing that the grunts started to regroup with one another, as multiple henchmen got in front of the Tyrannodrons and had their shields out in a defensive position to create a wall of shields in an attempt to stop whatever the Ranger was going to do. Ren only lets out a small short chuckle at the desperate attempt to stop him, before raising his Mosa blaster at the enemy grunts. "Electro Fury Blast," Ren shouted while pulling the trigger to shoot a beam of electricity that breaks through the henchman defenses and causes an explosion that takes them out. But the Tyrannodrons immediately changed forward at the Ranger to test theirs at destroying him. "Really guys," Ren said before firing another bolt of electricity at a Tyrannodron in front of the group changing towards him. The lightning discharges around to the other pteranodons that shocks all of them out of commission, with them exploding in the end. I bet the Energizer Bunny ain't got nothing on me. Ren wisecracked a joke before removing the battle armor and turning to see Midoriya fighting against Rustafa, as he has taken care of the other hengemans and pteranodons. Time to roast this chicken, the ranger said as he ran to back up his teammate. Hiya! Midoriya charges forward at the Sporix beast with a battle cry. The Red Ranger attacks with his sword in a spiral momentum while spinning his body around at Rustafa, who was having trouble reading his movements. Stand still, damn it, Rustafa said in frustration before swinging his right claw at the ranger. But Midoriya ducks under the attack and got behind his opponent, as Rustafa turns around towards his opponent in time for him to get slashed upwards in the chest by Midoriya's saber. The attack made Rustafa takes a couple of steps back, with the Red Ranger rushing at Rustafa and running up the Sporix beasts to get above him, before slashing downwards at Rustafa, making sparks fly off his body in the process. I thought chickens were fast on their feet, Rustafa. Midoriya taunted his opponent with joy. I'm just getting started, Ranger, Rustafa said back before rushing at his opponent again for an attack. Mosa Blast, Ren shouted while firing a golden blast at Rustafa to stop the monster in his tracks, with him making next to his partner. Hey, that hurt, Rustafa complained in pain as smoke was coming off his body. Ren, Midoriya said as he was happy to see his friend in one piece. Midoriya, I'll handle Rustafa. You need to go after the white pterosaurus, Ren said to his teammate in a serious tone. We have no idea what they're planning, but it can't be good for anyone, right? Just leave it to Ren, Midoriya said with determination before holding up his morpher to his face. Dino Fury Cycle Online, he shouted into the device with a portal opened up a few feet away from him, as a motorcycle with a dinosaur design came driving out of the portal and straight to Midoriya before stopping in front of him. The Dino Fury Cycle. That will definitely get you to the white pterosaurus in no time, Ren commented as that was one of his few favorite Ranger motorcycles. And in style too, Midoriya replied back with a small chuckle as got on the bike and rev up its engines. Good luck on frying that overgrown chicken. He wished his friend luck, and to you on sending that dinosaur back to extinction, Ren commented back, getting a nod from his friend. The Red Ranger then pulled the lever back on the Dino Fury Cycle and drove off to Kyo Academy, where the white pterosaurus is heading. With Midoriya now gone to deal catch up to the white pterosaurus, Ren turned his attention back to Rustafa. Hey, Rustafa, you're going to be my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ren said, raising his weapons at the monster. Sorry, Ranger, but I'm afraid that you are the only one on the menu tonight, Rustafa said before charging at the Gold Ranger. Unknown to them, a news crew and a few civilians were secretly recording the entire battle on their phones and cameras at a safe distance as they watched this in awe and amazement. But most of all, Azazel was there on a nearby rooftop watching the whole thing with interest to see how this battle will plays out. He sees two unknown warriors fighting the creatures with amazing skills and talent, two unidentifiable creatures that he's never seen before, that leading a bunch of foot soldiers at that. It was a good thing he was in the area when he felt that strange power again and decided to check it out, as the man was now watching whole incident happening from a rooftop. Those creatures didn't look like any known devil or any other species, and it looked like they were looking for something. With how the white one flew toward the school the devils attended at. Looks like my search is getting close, Azazel smirked before continuing his investigation to find more about the power source. Those two costumes warriors had until his phone went off in his pocket. The leader of the fallen angels reached to grab his phone before pulling it up to his right ear to answer it. Hello, he asked through his phone. Azazel, something is happening, Qo. It's being attacked, B. Barakil yelled in an urgent tone, before getting cut off. I know, I'm here watching everything unfolding in front of me. Gather some fallen angels and head to Qo now to help its townspeople, but also order them to not engage these creatures under any circumstances. That matter is already being dealt with, Azazel ordered his subordinate within a serious tone. The fallen angel knew that they had to do something, or else whoever is commanding these creatures could attack other cities and countries as well. Right away, Lord Azazel, Barakil said before hanging up the call, as he had already fully planned to go anyway since his daughter was currently in Qo, and like hell he was going to let anything happen to Akino. Okay, Rangers, show me what else you're capable of, Azazel said before putting his phone away, and then took off to the school to watch what will happen next. However, there were other individuals involved in the supernatural world who were watching the news as well in other locations. When they felt the Rangers' grid energy again or heard about the attack in Qo, they were observing the whole battle from different locations or came in person to watch the fight up close in a secret location. The Rangers may not have realized it at the time, but what they're doing or who they impressed at that moment. As people from this universe watching their fight, whether it be human or supernatural, everyone now had their eyes on the Hero Force Rangers and their worth. Underworld, Gremory Mansion morning. In the underworld, the four great Satans were meeting after they suddenly felt that strange power source again and quickly decided how they should approach whoever was responsible for giving off this power now that it reappeared. But they were soon interpreted when a male devil who worked under the Gremory family busted into the room with a panicked look on his face. Lord Lucifer, I report urgent news. A random devil appears before his lord and the other great Satans while panting heavily. At ease, what's the status of the situation in the human world? Sirzech ordered his subordinate. We are currently monitoring the events in the human realm like you asked to, in order to find the person responsible for releasing that strange power from last night. The devil reported calmly as possible before shouting again in worry. But then we saw something unexpected happening in Kuo where yours and Lady Leviathan's sister's governor. The town is under attack by an unknown enemy, he said, making everyone in the room's eyes widen in shock to hear the news. What? Seraphal shouted in great shock and concern for her little sister. Are you sure what you saw was correct? Yes, Lady Leviathan. But that's not all I need to report to you, the devil said, getting them curiously on what else he had to say. As soon as those monsters attacked the city, two warriors dressed in colorful outfits appeared out of nowhere and started fighting those creatures while also rescuing and protecting the humans living there. We also discovered that both of them are the ones resonating with the same strange energy from last night, he said, making the leaders of the devils even more surprised and curious about this manner. Show us, Sirzech ordered him. Yes, sir, the devil said before using his magic to summon a magical screen that showed what was happening in Kuo right now. The images that were shown told the great Satans how bad things were getting, knowing that Rias, Sona, and their peerages wouldn't be enough to handle this threat. Oh no, Seraphal gasped while looking at the destruction those monsters were causing. What are those things? Falbium asked the guard. We do not know for sure yet, but they're not angels, strays, or even a fallen angel's design. And it looks like the ones leading this attack are these two creatures, the devil soldier explained while pointing at the white Pterosaurus and Rustafa as the footage started to show something new to them. But then they saw the two warriors dressed in red and gold outfits appearing in the middle of those monsters' attack and started fighting them with such amazing fighting skills, while also pulling the humans in the area to safety. Who are those two guys fighting those creatures? Seraphal asked, looking at the costume heroes with interest. From what we overheard through our communication network, they call themselves the Power Rangers, the devil soldier informed. They seem to be quite skilled in fighting, ma'am. Power Rangers, Sirzech murmured as he observes the news. Interesting. Are they the ones giving off that strange power source? Ajuka asked, pointing at the Red Ranger. Yes, they are, sir. They're currently fighting back the monsters at the moment, the devil soldier subordinate replied. This is interesting and all, but we can worry about these rangers later. Right now the humans of Kuo need our help. Sirzech commanded his subordinate to take action immediately. Agreed, we need to help Sona and Rias as soon as possible, Seraphal said with a rare serious expression. After seeing this, both Sirzech and Seraphal wasted no time to send as much aid as they can, even wanting to go and fight these monsters themselves to protect their sisters. But if they did that, they knew what it would mean, especially when word even began spreading in the underworld of this Power Rangers. Sirzech, if we do this, there's no turning back. Devils, angels, fallen angels, the entire supernatural world, it'll all be exposed, Ajuka said while looking at his friend, with the redhead nodding, but refused to let his sister get hurt before looking to Falbium. Falbium organized the soldiers and start sending in small teams to Kuo, have them get civilians to safety and avoid these creatures if necessary, Sirzech ordered, as the great Satan nodded and stood up. Right away, Falbium replied before teleporting away to start sending teams out. Heaven morning. In heaven, Michael, Gabriel, and other high-ranking angels feel the strange power source from last night and was about to investigate it, until they heard the news from one of his subordinates about what was happening in Kuo. Right now they are watching what is unfolding in Kuo, with the appearance of these stranger creatures that they have never seen before and the rangers who are fighting them back with looks of shock and disbelief. What in the Lord's name are these unholy abominations? A random angel asked in surprise. I don't know, but they're attacking the human that resides in the devil's territory of Kuo. another angel said with concern in their voice. But more importantly, who are those brave warriors fighting those things? Gabriel asked, watching the mysterious men helping the people in Kuo. Our intelligence reports say they call themselves the Power Rangers, and that they're giving off the power sources we all felt last night and just a few moments ago, ma'am. The angel answered her, and Gabriel was shocked at this revelation. She never expected the ones to release that stranger power from last night to appear in Kuo of all places and challenge those monsters. Michael, what should we do? Gabriel asked in worry while seeing her brother grabbing his head tightly as dozens of prayers were rushing into his head all at once, all of them begging for help and for someone to save them. G, gather a team of angels and ex-exorcists, Q, quickly, and G, get T to Kuo to protect T the H humans, Michael said before his sister had something else to say. But what about the two fighting against those creatures? Gabriel asked her brother. L, let them H handle T those monsters, W, while we F focus O on helping the P people. And now go before more innocent souls are lost, Michael ordered her, with Gabriel nodding before going to gather some teams together. Asgard, Odin's office's morning. In Asgard, Odin was in his office with his bodyguard Roswace and was witnessing the attack on Kuo by unknown monsters that neither one has seen before. Lord Odin, we have to do something imminently before it's too late. Roswace yelled at him with an urgent tone. Odin nodded back at her before saying something. Right, gather a team of our focus to help the humans in Ku. He paused for a brief moment when he saw something on the news that made the old man smile with great interest. Well, will you look at that, huh? It seems that we now know who was responsible for that power source from last night, he said, confusing his bodyguard. Huh? Roswace said with a raised eyebrow before her gaze went back to news, as Valkyrie was taken back in surprise with her eyes from what was on the screen. The two Asgardians watched as two heroes dressed in colorful outfits bravely dealing with those monsters with ease. Who are those two? Roswace asked while narrowing her eyes at the magical screen. That's a really good question, Roswace, Odin said while stroking his beard with a grin. Which is why we're going to find out by watching them take care of those things. Also said in a small team of our best Asgardians to help the human in danger. Right away, Lord Odin, Roswace said using her magic to contact their forces. Italy, Rome, Vatican City, Vatican Church morning. Meanwhile, at the Vatican, the exorcists were watching what was happening in Kuo live, shocked and horrified at what they were seeing happening to Kuo, as Irina was the most terrified at what was happening to her former hometown. Irina, Zenobia said while looking at her partner in worry as they watched what was happening in Kuo, knowing Irina used to live there. The brunette not hearing her friend call her name as she was mentally pleading and praying that Issei would be safe and nothing would happen to him. What in the? Who are they? An exorcist shouted in surprise, which made Zenobia turn her attention back to what was happening on the news. Seeing this made Zenobia's eyes widen and her mouth hung open in surprise at what she was looking at right now. Irina, you need to see this right now, Zenobia shouted at her friend in an urgent tone. Hearing this made Irina stop praying for a moment and opened her eyes to see what was going on before gashing in surprise at the new development on the news. Zenobia, Irina, and every other exorcist there were watching the Power Rangers fight back the monsters with incredible skill. No way, they're Super Sentai. Irina squealed out in joy at the sight of the heroes. Super Sentai, Zenobia said in confusion as she didn't understand what her friend meant. Kyoto, Yaokai Town morning. Meanwhile, in the west of Kyoto's Yaokai faction, Yasaka and the every Yaokai in Yaokai Town once again felt that mysterious power just suddenly appear without warning again. Yasaka was in her manor on a balcony. She was sensing the same mysterious power from last night that not only shake up her daughter and every Yaokai in Kyoto, but the entire supernatural world. She is naturally gifted and the leader of the West Yaokai faction. Her senses were sharper compared to normal humans. Her eyes narrowed as she sensed the strange power source that appeared not too long and was trying to figure out what it was. I hope whatever this is isn't a threat to my homeland, Yasaka muttered to herself. Just then, her door opens and a figure appeared before her. Lady Yasaka, please forgive me for disturbing your rest, but I bring you urgent news that you must hear right away. The female kitsune maid apologized by bowing on her hands and knees. Oh no, don't worry about it. What brings you here? Yasaka asked politely as she noticed the panicked look on the kitsune's face. It's the town of Kuo that the devils own, Lady Yasaka. It's under attack by an unknown group of creatures and wreaking havoc on the humans there. The female kitsune attendant explained to her, making Yasaka's eyes widen in shock. What? Yasaka cried out while standing straight up from the troublesome news. Who in their right mind would attack a place where the devils control? I don't know, ma'am, but there's something else you need to know. After those monsters attacked Kyo, 2 human warriors in strange outfits jumped into the fray and are bravely battling against the creatures now as we speak. The maid said with a little smile. Really? Yasaka asked while being taken back in surprise by the information. Who are they? They go by the Power Rangers, Lady Yasaka, and they are incredibly skilled for just 2 humans, the female kitsune said to her. Also, they're both emitting the same unknown power from last night, she said, throwing Yasaka for another surprise yet again. So that's where that weird energy comes from, huh? Interesting, Yasaka murmured to herself with a look of curiosity. How are things looking in Kyo? It's pretty bad there and the situation is only growing more out of control by the moment. But lucky the 2 humans are doing everything in their power to stop those monsters, the female kitsune explained to her. Then we can't sit around as well, while our home is being threatened by those creatures, Yasaka declared with a serious expression. Send word out to our forces to head to Kyo and provide aid to the humans there and have them avoid these creatures if necessary. Right away, ma'am, the female kitsune said before standing and about to go. Also, where is my daughter Kanu right now? Yasaka asked, stopping the maid. Oh, she and along with the other children are watching the battle in Kyo, and they looked pretty excited watching those 2 humans in action from the looks of it, the female kitsune said with a smile. I see, Yasaka replied with a giggle. Maybe I should go see these rangers for myself with her, she said with interest. Are you interested to witness this fight, Lady Yasaka? The female kitsune maid asked. Yasaka closes her eyes as she reaches out to sense the human's energy and wonders what they are like in person. Kyo Academy Occult Research Club morning. A few moments ago before the battle started, Riaz and Akino were walking together in the hallway of their club room after sensing the sudden unknown power they felt last night and is now made its presence into their territory. It seems that whoever is emitting that strange power from last night is now in our territory, Riaz said to her queen while walking beside her. I sensed it a few minutes ago and now that it's closer, I can get a better feel for its power. It didn't seem like it belonged to a fallen angel, devil, or an angel, but from what I felt it was something limitless. She was having a hard time figuring out this strange power. Aura, and you feel like this is something that requires our immediate attention, Riaz? Akino asked her friend. I haven't felt anything like this before, so I have no idea what it could be. It will be bad if it was something dangerous all along, so we better take a look at this ourselves at the very least and see what stumbled into my territory, Riaz said, narrowing her eyes to show her seriousness. Kaneko and Kiba should arrive in the club room pretty soon since they felt that power as well. When they're here, we'll go and investigate this unknown power, she said as they reached the club room door and opens it. When both girls walked into the club room, they were met with an unexpected surprise as 2 of their club members were already there looking at a TV screen with intrigued looks on their faces. One is a handsome young man with short blonde hair, bluish-gray eyes in the anime, and a mole underneath his left eye. He wears the Kyo Academy boys' school uniform, which consists of a black blazer with white accents over a white, long-sleeved dress shirt with a black ribbon on the collar, matching black pants, and brown dress shoes. His name is Yuudo Kiba, a reincarnated devil and knight of Riaz's peerage. The other is a petite girl with white hair and gold eyes. The front of her hair has 2 long bangs going past her shoulders and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back has a short bob cut. She also wears a black cat-shaped hair clip on both sides of her hair. She usually wears the Kyo Academy girls' school uniform, without the shoulder cape. Her name is Kaneko Taoju, a Nekashu Yaokai and reincarnated devil and rook of Riaz's peerage. Kaneko, Kiba, I didn't expect you both to be here first, Riaz said to them, as the 2 took their attention off the TV and to their king. Bachu, Kiba said to her in a concerned tone. You should see what's on the news right now, he said, making the 2 girls look at the screen to see the news. We are at downtown Kyo where various citizens are being attacked by a group of monsters, the newsman said as the footage was shown the so-called monsters attacking the city. Police have been escorting those that were downtown away from the area as they tried to contain the situation as best they could. The 4 students watched the footage carefully and it didn't look like anything they'd ever seen before. What in the world are those things? Akino was the first to ask as this was the same question on the devil's mind. She was too shocked to even make any further move. Akino expected the threat to be a stray devil, but from seeing these monsters, she was unsure if they were even as such. Are they all strays? I don't think so, but it know for certain that they are no supernatural beings we're seen before, Kiba said with a curious look on his face. I guess that explains all that loud noises we've been hearing from down below in the city, Kaneko said in a stoic tone that lacked any emotions. Riaz remained silent as she continued to watch the news with a curious gaze at what she was seeing. However, the situation is being dealt with by two unknown figures who came into the scene and are now battling with these creatures. The newsman said, continuing his report, while captured footage was shown of two figures dressed in colorful outfits fighting the creatures and destroying them with ease. As we can see, these two figures are fighting back against these monsters and saved the lives of people downtown during the attack. We interviewed those that witnessed the two warriors fighting the monster. A few of the witness who was close to being attacked was saved by these two figures. The scene changes to a woman holding a small boy in her arms. Me and my son were about to be killed by one of those things until we were saved by the one dressed in gold. I was scared to think what would happen to my son and myself, but knowing that we were saved, I'm happy that the man dressed in gold saved our lives. Whoever they are, thank you, the woman explained while crying a little into the camera before changing to a man who was injured during the attack. For a minute there I thought we were done for until that one dressed in red moved me and a couple of other injured people who were unable to move out of the way to safety. I don't know who those two are, but I owe them my life, the injured man said in a grateful tone as the scene changes again back to the newsman. We have received word from one of our crewmen that the battle downtown is still going on and will switch to live footage, and praying for these heroic figures to stop the monster's rampage. The news then switches to the live ongoing battle downtown in Ku. The four devil students were left quiet by what they were watching on the news, as the live battle between the two heroes and monsters was being broadcast for everyone to see. What do you think of this, Bachu? Kiba asked her how they were going to handle this matter. Riaz continued to watch the live battle with the two mysterious warriors and creatures. She also noticed that the two individuals didn't show any ounce of fear while fighting those monsters. A smirk grew on the crimson-haired girl's lips after seeing the two heroes in action, as the power they detected recently came from them. They were in her territory now, which means an opportunity to confront them and add the two warriors to her peerage. However, knowing that the attack occurred in her territory, she has to make sure the humans don't get aware of the supernatural. Everyone, let's head downtown to get a better look at the situation, Riaz said to her servants. I want to know more about these two people. Ara, could it be that Bachu wants these men part of her peerage? Akino asked with a menacing smile. Only if they want to. I rather not force my hand upon two powerful individuals who don't want to be part of it, Riaz said calmly as they walked over to the teleportation circle. But what about those strange monsters attacking the city? Should we help those two fight against them? Kiba asked her. No, because there are too many people watching for us to get involved without revealing ourselves, Riaz said, shaking her head as they couldn't reveal themselves in front of the humans. We're just going to watch and observe the situation from afar and approach them when they're done fighting those creatures. Whatever is going on, something tells her that this was just the tip of the iceberg. Just as she was about to activate the teleportation circle to teleport downtown, the sounds of numerous explosions from outside near the entrance of the school made the devils stop the teleportation process and rush to a nearby window to see what was going on outside. They made all the young devils freeze in place at what they saw was happening. It wasn't just them, but every student and faculty member of Kyo Academy looked outside to see the front gate of the school destroyed and badly damaged, with the white pterosaurus marching inside the academy grounds. Now the power that we've sensed will be ours, White Pterosaurus declared with a low evil laugh before firing a laser beam on top of the school building, which causes an explosion and tons of destruction that made everyone start to scream and panic at what the monster was doing. Kyo Town morning. Back downtown, the battle between Ren and Rustafa was still going on, with them both being evenly matched at the moment. Shouldn't you be entertaining children somewhere off on Sesame Street, Big Bird? I don't think going full edgelord is a good look for you, Ren said somewhat blithely to the Sporix beast, causing him to outright glare at you. How droll. I will enjoy watching you scream, Gold Ranger, Rustafa said before beak his beck to see purple energy charging up in his mouth. And I will gladly feast upon fried chicken after I cut you up chicken legs, the Gold Ranger replied while simply staring down the Sporix beast, Mosa blade drawn and ready to strike at the monster. Beak sound beams, Rustafa shouted while firing purple sonic beams from its mouth at the ranger. The Gold Ranger then immediately shifted his footing before rolling out of the way of the incoming sonic beams by dodging to the left, as Rustafa charges at him with a leaping assault and a sickle blade for its right hand raised for an attack. Then Ren rose the Mosa blade above his head to block the blade from hitting him, before using his strength to push the Sporix beast slightly back, which gave him some breathing room to strike at his opponent with his blade. The Mosa blade managed to get a hit on Rustafa that makes some sparks fly off the beast's body, right after the Sporix beast swing his left spiked mace hand at the ranger for a counterattack, sending Ren skidding across the street and stopping in place with a bit of steam coming off his costume. Okay, that stings a bit, Ren whispered as he felt the strike in his gut, but didn't take any major damage thanks to his outfit. He grits his teeth, catching Rustop's second attempt at an attack with his right hand, before Ren immediately sidesteps to the left side of Rustofa and quickly spin kicks the creature in the waist, then slashes the Sporix beast in the back, making him howl in pain. Rustofa turned to the ranger and charges back at him in a fit of rage, but the gold ranger continued his onslaught of strikes and counters. Rustofa had enough of this and unleashes a purple beastly roar attack at point-blank range from his mouth in frustration, which caught Ren off guard as he was sent flying back to the ground in pain. Before he could recover, Rustofa started to flap his wings and took to the skies for an aerial assault. Take this, Ranger. Beak blasts, Rustofa shouted while spewing out purple laser blasts from his beak-like mouth at the downed hero. But Ren, however, saw this coming and quickly recovered by rolling backwards to his feet and leaping multiple times to avoid the purple laser blasts from the sky as best he could. Each blast hitting the ground causes an explosion that damages the street and other random objects in the area, making the Hero Force Ranger grit his teeth over the property damage that monster was creating, and was about to pull out his blaster to stop the Sporix beast until black blur slashes Rustofa across the left side his face and making him drop back on the ground as the monster let out a cry of pain due to its injuries. Seeing this made Ren stop jumping in place as the black blur lands right next to him, revealing it to be Kuroka in her cat form. Kuroka, Ren said, looking at the Nekishu with a bit of surprise. What are you doing here? I thought I told you to evacuate the people in the area. I did that already. All the humans in the surrounding area have already evacuation, with some who decided to watch your fight from a safe direction. Kuroka replied to him before saying something else. But are you all ready? I saw that monster getting the upper hand on you back there. I'm alright, Kuroka. It's just that last attack of his caught me off guard. I didn't expect Rustofa to fire a soundwave attack at point-blank range like that, Ren said, try to tell her, downplaying things as the boy looks at Rustofa slowly recovering from the surprise attack on him. I was about to blast him out of the sky until you showed up, and thanks for that, by the way. No problem, but need some help fighting him. Kuroka offered her assistance. I would have said yes to that request, but I don't want people to be aware that you are a devil and a Nekishu, Ren responded before pulling out the Mosa blaster in his left hand. Besides, I have a way of finishing this fight now. Kuroka nodded in understandment as she pounced away to a safer direction to watch the battle, with Rustofa now back on his feet. What the hell was that? Rustofa asked in irritation at the unexpected attack on him. Just a black cat crossing your path. You know that brings 7 years of bad luck, right? Ren mocked him, getting a laugh from the Nekishu who heard the joke. You're the one who going to have bad luck after I'm done with you, Ranger, Rustofa decided before rushing at the Gold Ranger for another assault. Ren also advanced forward as the two rushed at one another, with Ren dodging the Sporix beast's right-hand attack by slightly sliding on the ground with his legs adjusted in a position while also cutting the monster in the chest with his Mosa blade, and then leaping back to deliver a strong kick to Rustofa's face, creating a mini gold shockwave that makes him spiral around for a bit before recovering. Rustofa then fires another round of laser blasts from his mouth toward the hero, and Ren leaps backward while shooting down the incoming laser fire with his Mosa blaster, with them exploding in the air upon contact. When Ren slowly lands back on the ground, he pulls out a key from his belt side with his right hand. Flare Dino key, ready, Ren shouted while holding up the boost key before unfolding into a small knight right before inserting it into the Mosa blade, and pumps the lever on the side of the weapon a few times as light blue energy was traveling up his right arm. Then suddenly, Ren moved his right arm and weapon down to the side for a cool knight-like pose, as the Dino key's power was finally activated and pieces of armor materializes on his right arm and shoulder with the head of the Dainonichus for a right shoulder piece. Flare boost, Ren announced out loud before charging at Rustofa again. You think a boost key will help you, Rustofa stated before charging up another attack from his beak. But the Gold Dino Fury Ranger wasn't going to allow it before using his key's power to stop the Sporix beast. Flare flash, Ren shouted while pointing his weapon at Rustofa to produce a powerful flash of light straight into the Sporix beast's face. Og, Rustofa cried out while covering his eyes from the light and stopped the Sporix beast from attacking. My eyes. Hiya, the Gold Ranger shouted in a battle cry as he got in close to the Sporix beast, and then unleashes a fury of combo slash with his Mosa blade. Rustofa was letting out screams of pain from each blow landed on his body, before Ren finishes with a hard turning kick to the stomach which stands him flying back in the air. Mosa blast, Ren shouted before shooting 3 golden blasts at Rustofa in mid-air that causes an explosion, delivering serious damage to his enemy. "Nice fireworks," he commented with a grin, watching Rustafa falling hard on the ground in pain. Rustafa immediately recovered from the Gold Ranger's assault, as he struggled to stand back up on his feet with steam coming off his body from the major damage he's just taken. "You know what? Screw this noise. I'm getting the hell out of here. But don't think this over yet, Power Ranger. I'll be back to destroy you before you know it," Rustafa stated before teleporting away in a beam of purple light. Once the Sporix beast was gone, the ranger clicked his tongue in annoyance as he didn't finish the monster off for good. And then the armor on his shoulder disappears from sight with Kuroka walking up to him. "Looks like that Sporix beast ran away," Kuroka said after she leaped onto his left shoulder. "Yeah, like the chicken he is," Ren muttered out loud. "Looking for Rustafa would be a waste of time right now since he teleported somewhere without us knowing where he's located," he stated before looking in the direction Midoriya went. "That's the direction Midoriya went to chase down the white pterosaurus. I wonder why he would go there of all places. That's the location he's headed in, is where my sister and the other devils goes to school at." Kuroka answered his question. "Seriously?" Ren asked as he was taken aback by the information. "Yeah, and those two monsters meant that they were after something," Kuroka said, making Ren's eyes widen in realization. "You don't think they're trying to steal the power that these devils possess, right?" Ren asked as he figured out their plan. "That is the most logical reason for this attack," Kuroka said in a concerned tone, as she was worried for Shiren's safety. "Then there's not a moment to waste," Ren said, running in the direction of Kuo Academy at full speed, with Kuroka hanging on tight to his shoulder. "It's a good thing I had Midoriya go ahead of us to stop the white pterosaurus. He should keep the others safe until we arrive to back him up," he stated. "Yeah," Kuroka said with a nod. "Please keep Shiren safe for me, Midoriya." Kuo Academy morning. Back at Kuo Academy, the students and faculty from the middle school, high school, and college divisions were panicking in fear and running for their lives as they tried to escape the white pterosaurus with the monster tore the academy apart, searching for the individuals who were giving off the strongest power signers in the school. One of the students is a male high school student of average height with short spiky brown hair, with 2 short locks of hair behind his head, and light brown eyes. He is wearing a Kuo Academy boys' school uniform, which consists of a blazer over a white, long-sleeved dress shirt with black highlights with a black ribbon on the collar, matching black pants, and brown dress shoes. However, his uniform differs in the fact that he wears a red t-shirt underneath his open dress shirt and blazer, and wears blue and white sneakers in place of dress shoes. His name is Issei Hayato, a first-year student and member of the school's perverted trio, and the future Red Dragon Emperor. Running beside Hayato are 2 of his closest and only friends in the school. The first is a boy with shaved hair who is wearing his Kuo Academy uniform with an unbuttoned blazer. His name is Matsuda, a first-year student and member of the school's perverted trio. The other is another boy wearing glasses with black hair and Kuo Academy uniform. His name is Madohama, a first-year student and member of the school's perverted trio. "Shit, shit, shit," Issei shouted as he and his 2 perverted friends were run for their dear lives, alongside other students. "I can die, yet. Not until a coppa feel on some sweet breasts," the pervert declared out loud without any shame in his tone. "Hell yeah, bro. For the titties," Matsuda and Madohama yelled out in agreement, as the other students were too busy running for their lives to deal with the perverted trio's usual nonsense. Running right behind the perverted group was 3 other girls. She is a brown-haired young woman with braided pigtails, large glasses, and a modest bust. She is wearing a Kuo Academy girl's uniform. Her name is Eika Kuryu, a second-year high student from Kuo Academy. The first girl's mature young woman with brown hair and eyes. She had her hair tied up in a red ribbon, which was a gift. She is wearing a Kuo Academy girl's uniform. Her name is Murayama, a first-year high student from Kuo Academy. She is a member of the school's girls' kendo club. The other girl is a mature young woman with light pink hair and eyes, and a white band was holding up some of her front hair. She is wearing a Kuo Academy girl's uniform. Her name is Kades, a first-year high student from Kuo Academy. She is a member of the school's girls' kendo club. Where in the world did that thing even come from? Kades questioned in fear while running alongside her friends. "No idea, but I've never imagined a monster like that could even exist," Murayama replied back, with equal fear in her tone. "Who cares at this point?" Eika said to them as she also had a scared expression on her face. "All that matters right now is getting the hell away from that monster," she said with the 2 girls in agreement. Sona and her peerages, the student council, were evacuating everyone to a safer location to get far away from the white pterosaurus rampage. "Everyone get moving now to the evacuation area," This is not a drill. I repeat, not a drill, Sona shouted, seeing most of the terrified students in shock at what they were seeing, with only a few actually still making a run for it. She and the rest of the entire school just witnessed some white creature attack their school in the middle of the day. The student council president, just wondering which faction or supernatural being would be foolish enough to expose themselves to broad daylight in front of this many humans, without worrying about the repercussions of such an act. Please move quickly in an orderly fashion manner, Tsubaki yelled sternly, as the students were pushing and shaving each other to escape quickly. Then another loud explosion went off outside, making the building shake violently once more, which made everyone panic even more, with the student council trying to contain the crisis at hand before someone got hurt. Damn it, just what in the name of Satan is going on here? Sona muttered to herself in frustration over the situation, while also looking outside at all the destruction that monster causes in her territory. As Sona was giving out her orders to the students, she felt Ria's contacting her through a magical line before shifting her body slightly to the side to make sure no one would see what she was doing, and placing her left hand over her ear to make a tiny blue magical circle appear. What is it, Rias? I already have my hands full at the moment dealing with the students, Sona said, whispering loud enough for the person on the other line to hear her, and make sure no one can. Sorry to bother you right now, but I had to inform you that a group of creatures, unlike anything we've seen before, is running wild throughout our territory and causing harm to the humans in it, Rias informed her through a magical communication line. What? Sona's eyes widened from what she heard before saying something back. You're saying it's not just the school that is under attack? Yeah, I saw it on the news a few moments ago with my peerages, Rias said to her with a slightly grim tone. Apparently the creature attacking the school isn't alone. There are more of these things wreaking havoc in the city. Then this more serious than I've thought, Sona said, biting the tip of her thumbnail in concern, as she considered contacting her family for help. But who would be crazy enough to launch a full-scale attack on a devil's territory? I was thinking the same thing maybe, but we can worry about that later. How is evacuating the student body coming along? Rias asked her through a magical communication line. We're getting the students out as best we can, but with that monster still lurching around the school, Sona said while watching her peerages help the students evaluate. You don't need to worry about that. I and my peerages will take care of this thing before it causes more damage, Rias said to her with confidence. In fact, it already heading towards my club as speak. Once we deal with the one at the school, we'll head into the city to take care of the others. Okay, I'll trust leaving the elimination of the intruders to your team, Sona said back with a nod. But be careful this time, Rias. We can't risk exposing the supernatural world any more today than it already has because of these creatures, she warned her with a stern voice. Don't worry, we'll be careful. Good luck with keeping the students safe, Rias wished her friend. Rival luck before ending the magical transmission before Tsubaki walked up to her king. Kaichu, your orders, Tsubaki asked her. We need to focus on getting the students out of here. Meanwhile, Rias and her servants will deal with our little intruder problem, Sona ordered her queen. Right away, ma'am. Tsubaki began sprinting down the hallway to continue the evaluation. Sona then turned to look out of the broken window for a moment. Hopefully we can settle this matter quickly before it gets even more out of hand, Sona said, pushing up her glasses a bit, before getting back to helping her servants with the evaluation. Hyo Academy Occult Research Club morning. Upon his rampage throughout the academy, the white pterosaurus made his way into the forest where he saw a very old building. This is where I feel one of those powers coming from, White Pterosaurus said, stopping in front of the Occult Research Club building while looking around for his target. Now where are they? Then complete out of nowhere a bolt of lightning came crashing down from the sky on top of the pterodactyl-like monster, who reacted quick enough to dodge the attack in time with the lightning hitting the ground instead. The white pterosaurus immediately looked up to see who was responsible for attacking him. To see it was Akino, who was flying in the air with bat-like wings. Yufufufu, and here I thought I could have caught you by surprise, Miss Intruder, Akino said, giggling sadistically while conjuring up lightning in her right hand. Haha, so you finally decided to come out of hiding, White Pterosaurus said with an evil chuckle, before noticing the other Occult Research Club members coming out of hiding in combat ready to deal with the monster. What is that thing? Rias asked while looking at the unknown monster with caution. It don't know but you. This creature doesn't give off the feeling of a stray devil or any supernatural being we know of, Kiba said, holding his blade with two hands. It smells weird, Kaneko said, as this was new scent unlike anything she's smelled before. Can't make out what this thing is. I just wonder what kind of screams it can make. Akino said, blushing a bit with a hand on her cheek before landing next to her friends and retracting her wings. You're all here, White Pterosaurus said, speaking first to the devils. Good, now the real fun can finally begin, he stated, which put the devils a bit on edge. But Rhea stepped forward and narrowed her eyes at the monster before speaking to it. I don't know who you are or what faction you came from, but you have a lot of nerve trespassing in my territory and wreaking havoc in it, Rhea said in a tone of full authority. So tell us, what is your business here? She demands from the creature. You should be more worried about what I'll do to you, White Pterosaurus said to them. What do you mean by that? Kiba asked the monster. Simple, I want your power. But to be more specific, White Pterosaurus said before pointing directly at Rhea's. I want that redhead girl's power, he said, making the young devil's eyes widen in shock. You want Rhea's power, Akino said as her playful voice has completely vanished and was replaced with a more concerned tone. Why is that? You may be able to fool the rest of these weak humans, but not me. I can tell you 4 aren't even human, and out of all of you she's the strongest, White Pterosaurus said with his arms out wide. Which is why she's coming with me, he declared, which only made 3 devils get in front of their king to protect her from the monster. But she isn't going anywhere with you, creeper, Kaneko said as her stoic expression becomes more emotional, with the white-haired girl now having a scowl on her face and fist up in a fighting stance. If you want our king, then you'll have to go through us first, Kiba exclaimed, while raising his sword in a defensive stance. Yufufufu, but don't think we'll make it easy for you, Akino said with a giggle as she raised her aura and surround herself in lightning. Rhea's just smile in response to how her servants were willing to defend her from this creature before making her move too. So you think you can come in here to take away from my family and home? That deserves nothing more than 1,000 hells and will be brought down by us, Rhea shouted, pointing at the White Pterosaurus. Are you guys ready? Yes, Butchu. The devils of the Gremory family were ready to take on. Then show him no mercy, Rhea declared, making the 3 devils charge at the ranger villain. But before they could do anything, the White Pterosaurus made the first move that took him by surprise. Pathetic, White Pterosaurus stated before running towards the devils at super high speeds, making him vanish from sight. Rhea's, Kaneko, Kiba, and Akino were then hit by the White Pterosaurus multiple times in a flash of a white blur, as they were unable to do anything but take his attacks while screaming in agony. Once the White Pterosaurus finished his attack, the 4 devils fall to the ground in pain with their uniforms slightly torn. What was that just now? Rhea said in a surprised tone at the monster's speed. Too fast, Kaneko commended with a groan. His speed surpasses that of a knight's, Kiba said in a shocked tone, as he didn't pick up on the monster's movements at all. This is going to be more difficulty than we originally thought, Akino said, with her and the others getting back up from the ground. The devils were taken by surprise at the White Pterosaurus' unexpected speed, as he was easily much faster than Kiba and any other knight they have seen before. This is too easy, White Pterosaurus stated with a grin before stretching out his wings. Prepare for your demise, he said before flying at the devils. Incoming, Rhea said as she and Akino extended out their arms to summon magical circles in their hands, before launching 2 magical spells of lightning and crimson fire at the White Pterosaurus, which hits him, causing a cloud of smoke to be created. The 2 girls smiled in satisfaction, with Akino pleasure thinking that monster was nothing and enjoying causing it pain, and Rhea's was happy to see that one of the threats in her territory was taken care of, as Kaneko and Kiba were relieved that the monster was dealt with. But those thoughts and smiles quickly disappeared when they saw the White Pterosaurus coming out of the smoke cloud, still charging at them in the air, who didn't even flinch or take any kind of damage from Rhea's and Akino attacks. It can't be, Akino muttered while still surprised at what happened. Impossible, Rhea said with equal surprise. Look out, Kiba warned them, before rushing at the White Pterosaurus in a burst of speed with his sword raised and striking it down on the creature. But the White Pterosaurus used his claws to shatter Kiba's sword to piece, as the Knight of Gremory didn't have time to process what just happened, with the White Pterosaurus slamming right into Kiba, before tossing him aside like garbage and into a tree, hard making him cry out in pain. Kiba, the 3 girls cried out to their friend in concern, as the White Pterosaurus continued its assault on them. Akino, defensive magic now, Rhea's ordered her queen, as Akino immediately front of her friends with both her hands raised. Right, Akino said before summoning a red giant magical circle that focuses solely on defensive magic. The white pterosaurus rammed right into the magical circle, creating a shockwave-like force that makes dust and grass fly all over the place, with Akino holding back the monster as best she could. Seeing this as the perfect time to strike, Kaneko and Rias were about to launch a counter-strike on the creature until they noticed Akino's magical circle starting to crack apart, which surprised the three female devils as the white pterosaurus was pushing through the barrier. "This won't stop me," white pterosaurus said before breaking Akino's magical circle, while flying past the three of them and striking all of the girls in an instant that knocks them all down on the ground again. "I can't believe how he broke through my defenses so easily," Akino said in a tone of shock and pain. "He's tough," Kaneko commented as she and the other girls held the spots the creature hit them in, with an expression of pain present on their faces. "Okay, this thing is a lot stronger than I anticipated." Rias groans in pain as she and the others started to recover from the blows they've received, before noticing the white pterosaurus circling back around at them for another attack. "He's coming back for another assault. Get ready everyone," she said to bring out her wings for more mobility. Akino did the same with her bringing back her wings, while Kaneko got into a fight stance and was ready for the incoming enemy. "Pterosaurus laser," white pterosaurus said while firing red and orange colored lightning beams from his hands, right at the three devils from down below. Kaneko, Akino, and Rias quickly avoid the lightning beams, with Akino and Rias flying in the air, and Kaneko leaping backwards before going on the offensive. Akino raised her hand in the air to make a magic circle appear, and cast high-density holy lightning at her opponent, as the white pterosaurus counters the girls' attack by firing beams of lightning from his eyes, which creates an explosion that cancel both attacks out, and makes a smoke cloud. "Not good enough, little girl," white pterosaurus said, mocking Akino before evading a fire attack to noticing Rias was right behind him. "Then how about I even up the playing field?" Rias said with a confident smirk as several magical circles appear next to her. "Is that supposed to scare me?" white pterosaurus said with a scoff. "Because it doesn't. You will be," Rias said with her smirk only, as her body was surrounded by magical energy and being to send balls of flame at the creature. The white pterosaurus moved around the air while dodging Rias's assault, as he uses his super speed to make it easy for him. Ara, this looks fun. I think I'll join in as well," Akino said while also creating several magical circles as well, before assisting her king in the attack on the monster with her fire more lightning at him. After a few seconds of dodging their attacks, the white pterosaurus grew tired of this annoyance before using his power of invisibility to stop their attacks. Invisibility. White pterosaurus then completely vanished from sight, as the girl's magical spells flowed past the spot the creature was in with eyes widened in surprise. "What in the world?" Rias said in confusion. "Where did he go?" "He was just here," Akino asked while looking for the monster. "Look behind you, girl." A monstrous voice made the black-haired girl jump in fright, before to see the white pterosaurus reappearing behind her. "You," Akino shouted in surprise. "Yes, me. Now goodbye," white pterosaurus sinisterly before attacking her. Pterosaurus laser. The monster then blasted lightning at Akino in point-blank range, making the hybrid scream in pain as she was shocked by several bolts of electricity. "Akino," Rias screamed out in concern as she watches Akino fall on the ground before seeing Kaneko catching her queen before she hits the ground. "You will learn respect, my little pets," white pterosaurus declared sinisterly, before turning his attention towards Rias now. Tractor beam. The monster held his right arm up forward to fire a light blue lightning-like tractor beam from his hands straight at Rias. "Huh?" Rias said out loud as she now notices this, but was too late as she was being wrapped up in the electrical attack. "What is this? I can't break free." The white pterosaurus dragged Rias forward towards himself and was now in his hands, as the monster was grinning maliciously. "I have you now, little red." White pterosaurus sneered a bit at her, before launching the devil girl right into her club room building. Rias crushed down hard through the roof of the building, which made her scream out in pain, and felt her shoulder move in a direction it really shouldn't. "Foolish weaklings." White pterosaurus laughed while landing back on the ground. "Is this the best you've got? Come on, show me what you're really made of in a fight." He then stops a surprise attack from Kiba, who has now recovered and had an angry look in his eyes. "With pleasure, you damn monster," Kiba said with his eyes narrowed at the monster as if he was angry at how he was hurting his friends. "Sword birth," he called out, as dozens of different types of swords were stabbing the ground with the weapons landing near them. Kiba then started picking up his blades two-handed before swinging them at the white pterosaurus, who was easily blocking all of Kiba's sword strikes with his arm as they shattered upon impact. This surprises the boy for a moment, but it didn't stop Kiba from using new swords at him before using his knightly speed to disappear from sight, with the white pterosaurus doing the same as they now engaged in a high-speed battle. Much to the other orcs' surprise, they could see multiple flashes of light, blurs, and broken pieces of each of Kiba's swords on the floor as the white pterosaurus was breaking every single one of their friends' blades in an instant. Then suddenly Kiba was sent rolling on the floor like a ragdoll before stopping himself as he quickly stood back up. "Nick trick, but it still isn't good enough to beat the likes of me," White Pterosaurus said as he chuckled maliciously while walking to his opponent. "Here I come." Kiba quickly made a new sword in his hand, which is called the Destruction Sword, and rushes at the creature while wielding the blade two-handed. He struck Destruction Sword several quick times at his foe, but the blows had no effect on the creature, who just stood there taking those slashes like it was nothing to him. The white pterosaurus then grabbed Kiba's sword with his right hand, which stops the knight's attacks on him before crushing the weapon into pieces with his other hand. Surprised the boy a bit, and then the creature began to hit the devil back with his claws, sending Kiba flying against a nearby tree and on the ground. "Here's some more," White Pterosaurus shouted while another blast of lightning at down night caused an explosion that sends Kiba flying back in even more pain. "This is too easy," he commented with an evil grin. Before he could do anything else, Kaneko leaped at the white pterosaurus from behind for a punch in an attempt to stop the monster, only for the white pterosaurus to shift his body slightly to the right to avoid the girl's punch, and then throws his punch at the white-haired girl, who's still in midair. Kaneko put her arms up together to block the white pterosaurus, as she was knocked a few feet away before skidding her heels on the floor to stop herself. Finished, White Pterosaurus taunted the cat girl as his attention was now on her. "Now even close," Kaneko exclaimed in a calm fury, before taking off at the monster and started throwing a fury combo of punches and kicks at him. But much to Kaneko's surprise, the white pterosaurus didn't even once flinch from attacks as he just took them like it was nothing. "That tickles," White Pterosaurus chuckled as he started slashing his claws constantly at the white Nekashu. Kaneko grunted as she tanked and dodged his attacks as the white pterosaurus was gaining the upper hand on her. And it didn't help that its claws were sharp rather too. The Rook of Gremory decided she had enough of this and took action against this monster. When the white pterosaurus launches another strike at Kaneko, she narrowly evades his claws with incredible reflexes by jumping up in the air and shifting her tiny body to the side before delivering a hard bone-crushing kick to the creature's abdomen, which sends him skidding back a few feet while kicking up dust under his feet. But the white-haired girl wasn't done yet, as Kaneko crouched down a bit and used her muscle leg strength to shoot herself at the monster like a speeding bullet while also breaking the ground apart. The white pterosaurus barely had time to react as Kaneko was already in front of him and then started to unleash a barrage of super hard punches at the monster's body, with the white-haired girl holding nothing back as each of her punches was strong enough to beat almost any supernatural being out there. Kaneko then leaps above the white pterosaurus before clasping her hands together and bringing her fists down on top of the creature's head, which result in creating a small crater underneath the white pterosaurus's feet that made the area shake violently, and an explosion of dust in the air. As the smoke cleared, it revealed Kaneko fists on top of the white pterosaurus, whose body was bending slightly towards the ground before he started letting out an evil chuckle and raising his body position, which made the white Nekashu hazel eyes widen in shock. "No way," Kaneko said, looking up at the monster in disbelief as her attacks barely faze him at all. Then the white pterosaurus grabbed the stunned girl by her shirt. "Is that all you got?" White Pterosaurus said with arrogance before lifting the girl up and throwing her through several trees as they broke apart upon impact. Her body stopped at the 5th tree before falling on the ground hard. Kaneko groaned a bit before slowly getting back up on her feet, with the Nekashu status of a rook can help her take a beating. The white pterosaurus then approaches her while flying in the air again and grabs the white Nekashu off her feet and into the air with him. The white pterosaurus proceeded to beat Kaneko repeatedly while holding on to her in midair before dropping the girl on the ground in pain as Kaneko crashes down into some bushes. "Kaneko!" Akino and Kiba yelled out while rushing off to help their friend up. "Kaneko, are you okay?" Akino asked while she and Kiba crouched down by her, breathing heavily and injured themselves. "I'm fine, but that hurt like crazy," Kaneko said while struggling to get back up before the white pterosaurus landed on the ground a few feet away from them. "This thing is unlike anything we've faced before," she commented while holding onto her hurt left arm. "Yeah, nothing we do seems to slow it down," Kiba agreed with a frown as he was wondering why their attacks weren't working on this monster. "Hahaha, weakly, let me be the first to tell you, you're doomed," White Pterosaurus taunted while marching up to the injured, who was glaring at him. Enough. A female voice livid with rage made the white pterosaurus stop for a brief and turn to the source to see Rias, whose body was now surrounded by magical red demonic energy with her crimson hair flowing in the air. Her expression was very dark mixed with anger, as she did never been this angry before in her entire life. But this creature seems to have awakened the fury of the ruined princess. Look who decided to come back for more fun, white pterosaurus said in a taunted tone while chuckling a bit. Not only did you have the gall to attack my territory and the humans living in it, but you hurt my precious servants. Rias spoke in a dark, furious tone while glaring coldly at the monster that would put other devil to shame. And for that, you will pay for it dearly with your life, she declared before raising her right hand forward at the dinosaur-like creature to use her magical ability to channel in the young devil's palm and forms a crimson sphere of her family's feared and respected power of destruction. Rias's eyes were glowing. A glyph opened ahead. No matter how powerful this creature was, even he'll cower before it and beg her for forgiveness. But to Rias's surprise, the white pterosaurus only stood there chuckling in amusement as her threat didn't seem to faze him at all. "Do your worst, little girl," white pterosaurus taunted arrogantly as he welcomed the sad attention on his life. Hearing this only made the female devil angry, with her eyes narrowing at the monster's arrogance. Then, without waiting or hesitation, Rias unleashes her power of destruction at full power towards the white pterosaurus, holding nothing absolutely back on her assault while being empowered with rage, wanting to make sure she took the monster down. The power of destruction slammed right into the white pterosaurus, which completely engulfed the monster in the sphere of death, while the devils began picking themselves up and joined the others. "Did we finally get him?" Tiba asked while holding his hurt side. "I believe we did," Rias replied with a heavy sigh in relief as she put everything she had into that attack. "No matter how powerful that creature may be, there is no way it can withstand an attack from my family." She didn't get the chance to finish her sentence when she and her peerage heard the sound of a menacing laughter coming from inside the crimson sphere, as this made all of the young devils' eyes slowly widen from what they will witness next. As the monster's laughter was heard, the attack exploding or incinerating ranger villain seemingly condensed around him in a large sphere, which slowly began shrinking. It revealed the white pterosaurus in the center and forced the enhanced power of destruction attack to grow smaller and smaller as he was absorbing Rias's attack into the spike located in the middle of his chest, which made the four devils look at the monster in disbelief. When all the power of destruction energy was finished being absorbed, the white pterosaurus let out another menacing laughter before speaking again. Then what happened next shocked the four devils beyond disbelief and shook Rias to her very core, as the white pterosaurus' skin color began to change from white to crimson red, before releasing a burst of demonic energy out of his body that sends a powerful shockwave, which made the orc in the area brace themselves for a moment to keep from being blown away by the wind pressure. "Ha ha ha ha. Yes, this is exactly what I've been waiting for," white pterosaurus stated before his whole body started to glow crimson, just like how Rias's would when she used her power. "The power is finally mine." "No way," Tiba shouted in disbelief. "Impossible," Kaneko said in a shaken tone. "He has Rias's power," Akino said as her mind began short-circuiting at seeing something that should be impossible. "That's not possible. How can he use the power of destruction?" Rias thought incredulously, mentally panicking at Ben's newly shown power. Only those from the House of Gremory are supposed to be able to use it. So how in great Satans can withstand Usmai without killing himself? The white pterosaurus decided to test out his new power by creating a power of destruction sphere in his right hand and launching it at a random tree, which completely vaporized it along with several other trees nearby, with the sphere expanding out wide. There is nothing left but a crater of what was once there. This monster just somehow withstood Rias's attack that should have vaporized him on contact. And he didn't just stop it. He actually forcefully absorbed the power of destruction energy into himself, but put it under his control, and was now using it. "Amazing. This feels good," white pterosaurus exclaimed with great pleasure as the girl's demonic power was seriously the real deal. "Power is overflowing throughout my body," he exclaimed as his gaze now focuses on the devils, before his whole body started to glow crimson again. Then suddenly just now the sound of thunder rumbling through the skies and everything turned dark, as storm clouds started to quickly form together on top of the area. "Is he the one doing all this?" Tiba asked in a worrisome tone, as he and his friends looked up at the strange change in weather in the sky. "Not good," Kaneko commended in a tone of slight nervousness. "I think I'll take this new power of mine out for a test drive," white pterosaurus said as the four devils turned their attention back on him. "And I think I've 4 perfect playthings to use it on first." He then created a large ball of the power of destruction in his hand, before throwing it up into the storm clouds. The power of destruction demonic power began to mix together the storm clouds with the blue lightning and started to turn red, as the rumbling of thunder became more louder and violent by the second. Seeing this made the members of the Occult Research Club tense up in great fear, as they know the white pterosaurus was going to target them next with this strange weather he created. Akino, Rias shouted to her queen in a panicking tone. Akino nodded to her king in response, already knowing what she wanted, as she and Rias immediately stepped forward in front of the group before using all their magical power to quickly conjure up the strongest barrier that the two girls could make to block the monster's assault. Right after that, a giant red thunderbolt in the storm clouds came crashing down at the Occult Research Club members, with the attack hitting the barrier that Rias and Akino put up. The barrier was only holding for a moment, before the lightning broke through and detonated in a large explosion that destroyed a part of the forest, along with most of the old school building with most of the wall crumbling away. Gah! The four devil all scream in agony, as they were caught in the middle of that blast and was thrown away from the area due to the force of the attack. Meanwhile, a few moments ago, at the back entrance of Kyo Academy, Sona and the rest of the student council members were moving faculty members, middle school, high school, and college division students to a different route, so to evacuate everyone from the academy while Rias and her servants were dealing the monster. As the students and school faculty were evacuating the academy grounds, they seemed to be a bit calmer now, with only a few examples, two of which were a girl and a boy. The girl is a busty young woman with long, brown hair arranged in multiple drill-like curls and brown eyes. She is wearing a Kyo Academy girl's uniform. Her name is Kiyomabe, a second-year high student from Kyo Academy. She is the captain of the school's tennis club and a beast tamer that comes from a family of beast tamers. The boy is a young man with short blonde hair and gray eyes. He wears the Kyo Academy boys' school uniform, albeit without the blazer, and his sleeves are rolled up. His name is Genshiru Saji, a first-year student. This can't be happening. Why is one of those things here and attacking everyone? Kiyom said in a shaking voice, while she rubbed herself in an attempt to calm down. While Kiyom was one of the rare humans who knows about the supernatural world, she tries not to get too involved in it, as Kiyom finds it pretty sorry. I didn't monster ever existed, except for the ones from TV shows, books, and video games, Saji said in a tone of disbelief after watching the monster rampage in the school. Meanwhile, Sona and Tsubaki were on the sidelines while watching all of the students handing to another exit to leave the school grounds, which was rarely used unless for emergencies only. Is this everyone, Tsubaki? Sona asked her queen with crossed arms. Yes, Kaichu, Tsubaki said while pushing up her glasses. We covered the whole school grounds and gathered everyone here. Good, the sooner we can get everyone out the better, Sona said with a stern expression, while deeply thinking about this stranger's attack. I still can't believe that someone was crazy enough to expose the supernatural world like this in such a matter, she stated before more explosions were heard and felt from the distance, which resulted in freaking out people even more. Kaichu, concerning how bad things are getting, don't you it might be best to connect both yours and Riza's families for assistance, Tsubaki suggested to her king, with the situation getting even more out of hand for them to handle. This made a frown appear on Sona's face as she watched the students entering panicked mode again, with the teachers trying to calm them down. I have thought of that, but knowing my sister and her behavior, Sona said as a disturbed look was planned on her face, she might make matters even worse, concerning that our families might already know about what's going on here, she said, not hiding the hint of annoying in her voice. Then suddenly, completely out of nowhere, all the students and faculty saw a flash of red lightning striking down near where the old school building was located before a giant explosion occurs that knocks most of their feet, due to the shockwave or the terror of the explosion. What was that? Sona thought in great shock at what she just witnessed. That attack just now. It looked similar to one of Akino lightning spells, but it was never this destructive. Also this power. She had a nervous sweat running down her forehead at the power she just felt. It feels almost similar to Riza's demonic power. Gah! The sound of multiple individuals screaming in agony was heard by everyone there, right before said individuals landed in the back of the academy field, which take everyone by great surprise to see who they were. It was Rias, Kaneko, Akino, and Kiba laying on the ground in pain, covered in multiple injuries and blood from all over the young devils' bodies, with their school uniforms damaged, which slightly revealed the three girls' underwear. Everyone, Sona and the rest of her peerages, shouted in great shock to their friends badly hurt, before running towards them to see if they were all right. Oh my god, it's the members of the Occult Research Club. What happened to them? It looks like someone attacked them. It had to be that monster. Who else would dare to lay a hand on the two great ladies of Kyo? Not to mention the school's adorable mascot Kaneko, and the prince of Kyo Academy Kiba. I hope they'll be okay. While all the students were making comments on how worried they were about the school's idols, Sona and her peerage were checking to see their fellow devils' conditions, with Sona on one knee and holding Ryuz in her arms. "Come on, Ryuz, pull yourself together," Sona yelled at her best friend in worry as Ryuz's body was twitching from the pain before letting out a moan. "Sona," Ryuz whispers while reopening her eyes to see her friend holding her. "Thank goodness you're all right," Sona said, letting out a heavy sigh with her eyes closed. "The others, are they okay?" Ryuz asked if her peerages was all right as well. "They're fine, Gremory," one of Sona's peerage members shouted out loud to them, which made both heiresses turn their heads to see it was Sona's rook speaking to them. "A little banged up, but nothing to life-threatening," Tsubasa said to her while helping up a hurt Kaneko, with the other members of Sona's peerage helping Akino and Kiba back on their feet. This made both heiresses sigh of relief, knowing that they would be okay. An attack like that would kill just about anyone, especially an ordinary human. But luckily they were all devils and could pretty much withstand any attack due to their physiological as supernatural beings. "Ryuz, what happened back there?" Sona asked with a serious gaze in her eyes. "I never would have imagined you or your peerages would have such a hard time fighting with that creature," she asked her friend up from the ground. "That creature is unlike anything we've ever faced before. We throw everything we had at that monster, but our attacks barely fade that thing or even slowed it down," Ryuz exclaims while slowly recovering. Sona knew that her rival and her servants powerhouses in their own right, so the idea of a single monster beating all of them at once this badly was troubling news to hear. "And that's not even the worst part, Sona," Ryuz said as her tone grew grimmer. "That creature not only survived withstanding my power of destruction, but also absorbed the power of destruction energy into its body to make itself even more stronger than before," she said, making Sona's eyes widen at what she just heard. "What? That can't be," Sona yelled out in utter complete shock, along with the other student council members who were listening to them. "It's impossible to wield another devil clan's demonic power without being blood relate to said clan. Plus the power of destruction alone is too dangerous for anyone to use unless they are a part of your family's bloodline," she stated in disbelief and horror. "I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth," Kiba said, a tone of pain, while Momo and Rhea were holding him up by his shoulders. "That thing tanked Butchu attack at full power and made it into his own power. So that attack just now was from that monster?" Tsubaki asked them while holding up Akino in her arms. "Yes," the members of the Occult Research Club said she, which only made the student council members in fear. "Kaichu, I know you don't want to hear this, but please call your sister and the other great Satans," Tsubaki asked her in a slightly begging tone. "I have to agree with Tsubaki, Ryuz," Akino said in agreement with her fellow queen. "This has gotten way out of hand for us all to handle alone," she said, with the other servants from both peerages nodding in agreement. Sona and Ryuz both didn't like the idea of asking their families for help, especially with how both heiresses' older siblings acted when they were involved in something dangerous. But given the circumstances, the two girls might have to swallow their pride and ask for help before it was too late. Sona only lets out an exhausting sigh in frustration while rubbing her forehead, as she mentally prepares herself for the headache that is her older sister. "Should I call them instead?" Ryuz asked as she knew how much Sona didn't want to call her sister. "No, you're hurt and need to rest," Sona said, shaking her hand, before pulling out her phone. "It would be better if I informed them than you about the situation," she said, and was about to make the call. "There you are, my little pets," an unknown voice said, making every student and faculty member confused as to who the voice belonged to. But all the devils there tensed up in fear as could feel the demonic power of the individual and know who it was. Before they could warn the others about the danger, the white pterosaurus came at the devils with his enhanced speed to slash all of them back and forth, as he was nothing but a red blur to everyone's watch. Soon the monster stopped his assault on them, with each of the devils crying out in pain before collapsing on the ground, which made every single student and faculty member scream in terror at the sight of the creature, and see what he did to the devils. "Shit, it's back. We're all going to die. Did you see what it did to the student council and occult research club members? Who cares? We need to get out of here." The students and faculty now were panicking again and ran their legs as fast as they to try to escape the monster while it was focused on the devils. "Hey, wait, guys. We can't just abandon them to that thing," Issei said, as he didn't want to leave the orc and student council members to deal with that monster alone, even though he was scared like crazy. "They'll die if no one helps them. Are you kidding me, Issei bro? Motohama said, looking at his friend in shock. I know that great ladies of Kuo and student council girls are hot and all, but it's not worth getting killed over. Yeah man, don't play the hero. You'll only get yourself killed by that monster. Matsuda added to what the other students running past the perverted trio. But still, Issei said, feeling completely weak and helpless in this situation. You not going anywhere, White Pterosaurus said as he noticed the humans running away. Stop them. Then suddenly a horde Pteranodons and Henjamens appeared right in front of the back exit of the school in a flash of purple light. That blocks the path of everyone who tried to escape from the White Pterosaurus. Oh crap, there's more of these things, Eika said in a scared tone, with her and the other people who were trying to escape from the school soon surrounded by the monsters that just appeared in front of them. Everyone was now freaking out in terror at the monsters around the humans, with the students and faculty immediately backing away into one another as the Pteranodons and Henjamens had their weapons pointed at the humans and were slowly approaching them. Oh no, the students, Momo said, looking at Pteranodons and Henjamens, preventing the students and faculty from leaving. There are more of those things, Rhea said in a shocked tone, as she didn't expect there to be other monsters attacking them. None of you are going anywhere unless I say so, White Pterosaurus declared, further scaring everyone there with his attention now back on the devils, who was on the floor from his previous assault. What are you planning on doing to them? Kiba demanded to the creature with a serious glare, as she and the other devils recovered from their injuries. Oh, not special real. I'm just going to kill them all just for the fun it. White Pterosaurus sadistically sends a cold shiver down the young devil's spine at how the monster said it. The Kuo Academy faculty members and students who heard these words started to cry out in fear of their lives being in danger. But why? Sona asked on one knee while holding up an injured Rias. They have nothing to do with these, she said with a stern look at the monster. Don't care, I just enjoy killing weaklings, White Pterosaurus said in a non-caring tone, before pausing for a brief moment as he noticed something about the student council members. But more importantly, I can tell that you newcomer ain't normal people just like them. Especially you, he stated before pointing at Sona. Huh? What about me? Sona said in a confused tone, as she didn't like the way the monster was looking at her. You're giving off the same amount of power just like your red-hair friend over there. And just like her, that power you possess will better suit our cause, White Pterosaurus said before putting his hands closer together, which started to generate electricity to conjure up clear bubbles in his hands. Rias, Sona, get out of there, Kiba warned the two pure blood devils. He's about to try something. But unfortunately, it was a little too late as the monster made his move first. Capture bubbles, White Pterosaurus shouted while throwing two clear bubbles from his hands at the two pure blood devils. Then both Rias and Sona were trapped inside of the clear bubbles, much to the girls' surprise as they were floating in the air. Kaichu, divided by Butchu. Both clubs cried out in great concern to see their kings captured by the monster. Looky here, I caught me two big fish. White Pterosaurus laughed as captured two of the main targets. Then Rias and Sona bubbles started moving closer to the monster, as the White Pterosaurus was planning to store them in the storage-like dimension in the spike located in the middle of his chest. We have to do something to stop this thing before it's too late, Ankyo said with a groan while holding her injured side. This thing might be strong, but it can't take all of us at once if we work together, Tsubaki suggested to her allies. But we can't, not in front of these my people, or else we'll expose the entire supernatural world, Raruko said in fear of showing normal humans what they can do. Risky, but no other choice, Kaneko said in her usual stoic tone but was hurting from her injuries. Kaneko, right. That's a risk we'll have to take in order to save our kings, Tsubaki said, pushing up her glasses with a serious look. Besides, when this is all over, we can just erase everyone's memories like usual, she said with the others ready to use magic to save their friends. The plan is working perfectly, White Pterosaurus said in a pleased tone, while moving the captured devils was getting closer to him. Hey, you overgrown lizard. A voice made the ranger villain turn to see both Rias and Sona peerages ready to face him. Let them go you now or else, Tomo demanded to the creature in anger. Make me, weaklings, White Pterosaurus said as turning invisible again, which surprised the ones who didn't know about this. What in the name of Satan? Where did he go? Sona asked at the White Pterosaurus disappearing acted. He turns invisible again, Rias yelled in worry. Be careful everyone. While the devils were looking for the White Pterosaurus location, the monster reappeared behind the devils and fired red lightning from his hands at them. Both Rias and Sona peerage members were unable to evade the lightning attack and were shocked by the attack, with multiple explosions going off in the process, which resulted in them all falling on the ground in agony once more. Everyone, Rias cried out in worry while being unable to do anything. You bastard. What are you planning to do with us? Sona asked while trying to break free from her prison. Damn worry your pretty little heads. I won't kill you because you two are in need of something more important. White Pterosaurus said arrogantly before moving his gaze to the other devils. But I can't say the same to them. I was only ordered to capture you two and kill anyone else in the way. So sit back and watch the show in your bubbles, he said, walking towards the downed devils to finish them off for good. While this was happening, the Tyrannodrones and Hengemans were getting closer to the students and faculty, ready to kill them all. Is this it? Are we all going to die here? Sona thinks grimly as if trying to accept their dark fate. The bubbles they were trapped in were too strong to prevent the two pure blood devils from escaping and helping their friends. Somebody, please, help, Riaz cries, closing her eyes in fear. Power Rangers Hero Force members, Ranamamia Ranger forms, all of them, Quirkless, leader of the Hero Force Rangers, izukumidoriya Ranger forms, Green Mystic Ranger, Dino Fury Red Ranger, Cosmic Fury Zenith Ranger, Quirk, One for All, Black Whip, Yui Kodai Ranger forms, Red Overdrive Ranger, Megaforce Pink, and Dino Charge Pink Ranger, Quirk, Size. Kyokajiru Ranger forms, Jungle Fury Wolf Ranger, Yellow Dino Ranger, Quirk, Earphone Jack. Momoye Yarazu Ranger forms, Red Samurai Ranger, Quirk, Creation, Second in Command. Itsuka Kendo Ranger forms, Jungle Fury Yellow Ranger, Jungle Master Yellow Ranger, Quirk, Big Fists. Fumikage Takoyami Ranger forms, Dino Charge Black Ranger, Quirk, Dark Shadow. Yosu Awace Ranger forms, Ninja Steel Blue, Quirk, Weld. And 8 more Rangers to join. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 15. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.